Okay, we should be live. We should be live. Just give myself a minute to get set up here and then we'll get started. As always. Get my can opened. What's happening? Big ass light coming in from the window there. Oh, I needed that. It'll wash down my dinner real good. So yeah, what's happening, guys? God bless you all. And yeah, as always, if somebody could tell me whether or not the audio's all good, it'll be handy to know before I get started. Always like to check, just in case, for obvious reasons. All right. Yeah, this is kind of an unprepared, spur of the moment live stream. This one, I didn't intend on going live tonight. Had other things to do, but do you know what? I got a couple of hours spare. Figured why not? Since I didn't make any videos for this channel this week, there was a couple I had in mind, but yeah, I didn't make any. So yeah, you know the deal. I was actually away last weekend, so was busy with that too, you know. That's good. That's good. Okay, let's get started. Shout out to JD. Good to see you here as always. Evening to you, man. Oh, 1 second. My microphone's wobbling about. Let me fix it. There we are. Haney versus Garcia was a real fight. Can't use that against Haney. To be perfectly honest with you, mate, I haven't even watched it. And I don't know if I'm going to be honest. I just I don't know. I just it's not really been on my mind much, if truth be told. What are your thoughts on the outcome of the Haney Garcia fight? I haven't watched the fight, like I just said, so I can't really comment on the like the details of it and whatnot. But I'm happy with the result. You know, it's always good to see one of these establishment hype jobs get buck broken. So yeah, I'm totally pleased with that. It's just a shame it had to happen to a little gay boy twink like Ryan Garcia and not an Eastern European. That would have been even better. It would have been. Audio is good. Yep, that's good to hear. That's good to hear, man. I appreciate it. Yep, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's good to know. It's always good to know. Yep, thanks, man. Oh. Hello, how's it going? Yeah, I'm alright, man. Yeah, good to see you here. Have you by any chance seen any new Tyson Fury training footage? No, I've not actually seen any. I've not I mean I've seen some pictures of what he's looked like in training, and I did see some short sparring clips from earlier in the camp before the fight was postponed, but I haven't seen any recent training footage. But all reports would indicate that he's looking in great shape. He's looking trim, but we'll have to see on the night. But from what I've heard, he's looking great and he's looking better than he has in years. You know, Henry Garcia was highly entertaining. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe if I can find the time. Chances are it's probably on YouTube or somewhere on the internet. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you be happy that Haney lost? Why would anybody support Haney? For what reason? I mean, is it his incredible punching power? Is it his charming personality? Is it his good looks? Is it, you know, his supreme intellect, his talent? You know, his totally entertaining and enthralling fighting style. Like what was it? What was it exactly? I mean, I don't know, man. This bloody microphone's doing my head in, man. This microphone's doing my head in because it keeps the light on it keeps turning off itself, and then I end up going mental at it. Yeah, that's it. That's it working again now. I think it's a dodgy connection or something that it has because it's a USB mic. All right, where was I? What was I? I was reading a comment there. I'm surprised you've not even watched the highlights for Gainey versus Garcia. No, I've not even watched the highlights. I haven't seen a single clip of it. Just haven't had the time. Like I said, I've been very, very busy lately. Your prediction was right to pick Ryan because you predicted it on one of your last live streams. Yeah, I think I said if it's a real fight, Ryan would win. But my only concern was that he might not come to win, that he might take a dive. Because Devin Haney's just one of them guys, isn't he? Where guys just don't seem to try when they fight him. But I guess that was just him taking one for the team, kind of a humiliation ritual. Because that's basically what happens, isn't it? When one of these black tards comes out and says they'll never lose to a white boy, shortly after they end up getting their arses handed to them by a white boy, don't they? So that's just what happens, isn't it? But yeah, like I said, I've not even seen a single highlight of it yet. Yeah, how's it going, boxing fan? How's it going, man? What goes around comes around. Haney has been weight bullying his entire career, and now he knows how it feels to be the smaller guy for once. Yeah, well, that's one thing I did want to bring up because I did see a lot of people bitching and moaning in the comment sections of some videos about the fact that Ryan apparently didn't make weight. And I mean, it's a little bit hypocritical for Devin Haney fans to be complaining about him being in the ring with someone who's like rehydrated and who's bigger than him, because that's basically been his whole career. When he fought Lomachenko, those guys were like, they were like 3 weight divisions apart. I mean, come on, man. So yeah, that's just what happens when you fight a guy your own size for the first time in your career. You can't bully them, you can't intimidate them, and yeah, you end up getting a hiding. It is what it is. Shout out to Fight Film. Good to see you here, man. I see you are gutted for Debbie. Yeah, oh yeah, I'm totally gutted for Debbie, man. I feel bad for him. I feel really bad for. I mean, listen, if you got your ass kicked by a gay boy twink Instagram model, you'd feel bad, wouldn't you? I came across Fury going to a fortune teller, and apparently one of his kids die in water. Possible sacrifice. I don't know, man. That sounds like it sounds like a wind up to me. I have no idea. It was refreshing not to hear anyone yelling Allah Akbar after a fight. I also predicted Ryan to win. Oh, good prediction. Good prediction. Yeah. The only real concern was, would he actually come to win though? Because again, look, I've said this before about Devin Haney. Look, the guy's an establishment hype job. He's one of these kids who was like picked up out of nowhere and groomed from day one to be the next Mayweather, the next pound for pound great, this, that, and the other. And yeah, you see the guy has no power, no chin. I mean, Jorge Linares basically carried his ass. Zara Abdullayev just quit for no reason. Both of those guys should have beaten him handily, as far as I'm concerned, because both of those guys have power. And if you've got power and you're fighting a guy who has no power in Devin Haney, guy's never knocked anybody out in his life, why aren't you walking the guy down and putting a beating on him and stopping him? I mean, unless the guy's like Sven Otke or something and he's got like an elite level boxing IQ, an elite level athleticism, but does Devin Haney have that? No, I don't think so. So again, that's just, I can't get into any fight involving someone like Devin Haney because I just know it's propaganda. I just know it's an establishment fighter who has a career that's essentially been pre-written and predetermined. Common sense tells me that. So again, whether he's fighting Ryan Garcia or whether he's fighting Mike Tyson, you'll always have that nagging thought in the back of your mind as to, is it a real fight or is it just a propaganda show? Yeah, Black Tar Devin Haney get whooped by a white Mexican. Yeah, he got whooped by an Instagram model. Listen, I don't care how many world titles you have. I don't care if you're undisputed, super duper, like Black Superman. I don't care. You get your ass kicked by an Instagram model, you're not a pound for pound fighter. And you're not even a real man, as far as I'm buck. And you've been buck broken. It's like being beaten up by David Williams or something, or I don't know. It's like being beaten up by that Ryland Clark guy off the TV. That's literally what I would equate that to, at least in terms of the aesthetics of it. You know, I've never watched a full Mayweather fight because I'm already bored in the first round. Yeah, I remember after the Miguel Cotto fight, I said to myself, I'm never watching a Mayweather fight again. And I've never actually sat through a full fight of his since then and actually paid full attention to it, you know. Haney came in at 160, 165 against Prograis. Yeah, at least that. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was even more because he's a big guy, you know. He must have to work very, very hard to make weight if he even makes it at all, you know. 3 pounds is nothing when Devin rehydrates to the size of Canelo. Devin got whooped, and he got whooped when he fought someone his own size, and was lucky Ryan didn't take it serious, or he would have got slept. Yeah, but again, that's the thing I was insinuating earlier. When you've got power, right? And I'm not saying Ryan Garcia is a good fighter. He's not, right? But he's got power, and you're fighting a guy with no power. Just walk forward and throw punches. You know, how is a fight like that going the distance? Because again, it's not like Devin Haney is Sven Ottke, is he? He's not a guy who has like an elite level boxing IQ. So there's no reason why a guy with power shouldn't be beating him. Right? There's no reason why a guy who's his size and who has power shouldn't be stopping him. You know? That's what makes me suspicious about the fight. I haven't watched it yet, obviously, but I'm suspicious as to whether the fight was you know, a full, real, genuine, full contact fight. Like, was it? Was it really? You know, I was anticipating a Devin Haney live stream at some point. Yeah, it's not really a Devin Haney live stream. I just thought it would be a funny thumbnail that would trigger a few people. You know, it might make a few black tards get in their feelings a bit, and I always enjoy that. Always enjoy that. You know, because those people can't stay away from my channel. Oh man, struggling to talk today. I just ate a Papa John's pizza. That's probably why. And I just need to let it settle. Yeah, I'm allowed a cheat day from time to time. I've been training my ass off. So, yeah, I'm allowed it. Christianity won. This is Islamophobia. Yeah. That's a funny term, isn't it? Islamophobia. Like, who came up with that one? Seriously. Who came up with that one? I think this fight actually puts the Devin Haney versus Tank fight into perspective. Despite the size, I think Tank stops him. I'm not so sure about that. I think that I think that the Tank fight with Ryan was just a setup. I really do. I just think Ryan was told to take it easy on him and basically just throw punches past his head, Canelo style. So that gave the little short guy Tank the opportunity to get inside and land big shots. I think if Ryan was actually determined to win that fight and use his height and reach and his boxing fundamentals, he would have won that fight too. He'd have probably won that fight even easier. I mean, Devin Haney's a lot bigger and probably a lot stronger than Tank. So I don't know. That would be an interesting fight, and I wouldn't be so sure who would win it if truth be told. Anytime now till Top Rank get bored of that Ameribom Shakur. Let's hope it's soon, yeah. Well, you know when they do, one of these other like gay boy promotional companies will pick him up, like PBC or I don't know what's in. Who's the new like gay boy Ameribom promoter out there? Was it DAZN? Those people that promote Crawford now. I don't know, man. I'm so out of touch. I'm so incoherent these days. When I see your live chat on Saturday, I know it's a good Saturday night. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it's good to see you here. Timothy Bradley said he would quit commentary if Ryan won. And of course, he hasn't been a man of his word and just making a bunch of excuses for Haney. Well, yeah, if Timothy Bradley's a man of his word, he'll give up his job. I mean, he should, to be perfectly honest, he should have been sacked long ago because he's one of the worst commentators of all time, Timothy Bradley. Like, the guy is utterly, utterly clueless and utterly delusional about boxing. He really is. And he's just disgustingly biased. Put a tenner on Garcia decision, 210 returns. Man, that's a good win. That's quite a good win. Yeah, Tank priced himself, man. Oh, that pizza was really big, man. I'm stuffed. Tank priced himself versus. I only ate half of it as well. We shared it between the two of us. That's how big it was. Tank priced himself versus Haney with the turkey deal. Oh yeah. That was why he changed his name, wasn't it? He called himself Abdul, which I think means slave. How good was Amir Khan? Nah, not very, in my opinion. I'll make a video about Amir Khan. I'll make a retrospective, a career retrospective. Truth be told, I never rated him. Never rated him that highly. Always thought he was a hype job. But that's just my opinion, personally. Debbie Haney had £30 on Loma and still couldn't hurt him. Yeah. Loma was, even though he was like 3 weight divisions smaller than him, he was still able to push him around and like be the aggressor in that fight. What's happening, Larry? Good to see you here, man. Looking forward to Madrimov Crawford. Genuinely think Madrimov is going to win that. Nah, I wouldn't be so sure. Look, it's a Crawford fight, so he's going to have his dehydration clauses. He's going to have his loaded gloves. He's going to have his Amero bum referee, and he's going to have everything he needs. His paid off American judges, and it's just going to be the Crawford show. It's going to be, I suspect, a predetermined result. I suspect. But hey, I would have thought that about Devin Haney as well. So what do I know? Maybe I don't know nothing about boxing, innit? Who knows? Ryan is talented, and I hope he takes it to the next level. Yeah, look, he's got fast hands and he can punch. Technically, I think he's very poor though, very very limited, and I don't think he has a very good chin either. Thoughts on Ryan's Christianity? Oh no, one sec. 1 second, guys. All right, I'm back and I'm bigger and badder than ever. Apologies about that. Just had to shut this down and fix it. Every single time. It's StreamYard. StreamYard every single time does the exact same crap. All right, here we go. What was I saying? Ryan's Christianity. I don't know. Is Ryan a Christian, or does he just like say praise be to God, but not really understand the scriptures, the gospel? Is he born again? I mean, I doubt it. I hope so though. All right, we're there. Looking forward to the Fury Usyk fight. Looking forward to what the casuals say when Fury flattens Usyk. No, look, the casuals will just pretend they knew all along, and they'll just be straight back on Fury's dick, because that's how casuals roll, you know. Devin Haney getting his ass whooped is just as satisfying as Maidana beating Broner. Yeah, it probably is actually. Probably is. I mean, it certainly comes close. That's what Precise was saying, and I happen to agree. Shout out to Hawker. Yeah, good to see you, man. Salute. King Twink will sparkle the Wakanda hype jobs. Yeah. Depends if he's allowed to though, doesn't it? We all knew Devin was a loss waiting to happen, but I never knew this cherry pick would backfire. Yeah, I just kind of thought that they would keep Devin undefeated until his head got a little bit too big for his boots, I guess, and I guess that happened a little bit too quickly. So they figured they'd give him a humiliation ritual, just like they did with, Bernard Hopkins and, the other ones that said similar things, And of course, instead of Haney having to vacate his title, the WBC allowed him to keep it. Yeah. Well, the title wouldn't have been on the line because Ryan didn't make weight. So if you don't make weight for the fight, I think it's in the contract that the title's only on the line for one. So I don't think he has to give it up legally, But he can't really call himself a champion, can he? Like with a straight face. Shout out to Iceman. You used to make a lot more movie reviews of trash movies. They were really funny. What happened? Not with the time, I guess. Yeah, I just got sick and tired of doing it. Like, because I'm not one of these people. I don't really enjoy making negative videos, And movies are just insufferable these days. They're just filled with propaganda. They're filled with sodomy. They're filled with just degenerate politics, and I can't be bothered even wasting my time with them. I still watch old movies though, and movies I like, and I still do review movies from time to time. And yeah, I'll be reviewing a couple more of them in the coming months. I've got a few in mind. I prefer to review movies that are a little bit more obscure, movies that a lot of people haven't heard of or haven't seen, or movies that I think are a bit underrated. I think that those are the movie reviews I tend to prefer to do now. WBC want sanctioning fees, the greedy bastards. That's why Devin gets to keep his belt. Yeah, but I mean Devin's next fight, it's all going to be about Ryan Garcia, isn't it? Whoever, let's say Devin Haney fights like I don't know. Let's say he fights some like fringe contender at 140. Like a Jack Catterall or someone like that. All anybody's going to talk about is, they're going to talk about when are you rematching Ryan Garcia, or they'll say Ryan Garcia is your daddy, things like that. That's all Devin Haney's career is going to be now. He's Ryan Garcia's, he's Ryan Garcia's son essentially. That's what these blacktards like YouTube channels behave like towards fighters they don't like when they lose to someone. So, let's give them a taste of their own medicine. Sam Eggington versus Conor Benn. Sam Eggington at his prime, I think, would win, probably by late stoppage. But I think he's in his last fight, he looked like he's past his prime and shot one. So I think maybe Conor Benn on points, maybe. Possibly a late stoppage, but most likely on points. Zoo versus Ortiz Jr. I don't know much. I don't know who's going to win that fight because I don't know much about Virgil Ortiz. I've not seen a lot of him. But I'd say based on resume and based on accomplishments so far, I'd have to favor Zoo. I'd have to favor him slightly, but Ortiz might have the talent to beat him, So yeah, it'd be interesting. But I'd favour Zoo at this point in time. Ryan showed that he could have knocked Debbie out in the first round. He rocked him in the first 30 seconds, but then he stopped throwing because I don't know if it was because he was gassed, out of shape. Yeah, it could have just been a lack of stamina, or it could have been like a lack of confidence. He could have froze up and not really rose to the occasion and performed to the best of his ability. It happens. It happens to fighters. And I mean, Ryan Garcia has never been the most mentally tough guy, has he? Ryan does have talent and power, but he's obsessed with Instagram. Yeah. Well, he probably makes more money on Instagram, from all his little gay boy followers than he does from, from boxing, from his fight purses. So I think he said that in the past, and I said at the time he should just retire, and make money as an influencer. Why not? If you can make more money not getting punched in the head, why not? Eh? I don't see why not. That fight, the fight was all the way real, except Ryan trained at the club. Yeah. So yeah, it's a real fight. It's just that Ryan wasn't in the best shape and didn't perform to the best of his ability, I guess. That seems to be the consensus. But I'll need to watch it to see. Tank is a bum. Yeah, he is a bum. No doubt about it. Harvey Dock was doing everything he could to keep Haney in the fight. Yeah. Harvey Dock's an LDBC referee, isn't he? I'll explain that. That's right. Nobody was picking Ryan Garcia to win. Everybody thought he was a mentally defeated social media hype job. This was another cherry pick gone wrong for a proud Wakandan. Wakanda forever! The LDBC was in actual tears. Well, they often are. But, they'll dump Devin Haney now and they'll move on to the next, black hype job. Just like they did with Rigondeaux, just like they did with Walters. I mean, they don't talk about Stephen Fulton anymore, do they? So, they'll jump onto the next guy, the next thing. They'll jump onto Crawford or Tank or someone, Ryan was winning against Tank till he quit. Yeah, he didn't. I think that fight was fixed. I think he threw the fight, personally. Because all he had to do was keep it at long range and he would have won it easy, but didn't do that, did he? Either he's really stupid or he threw the fight, and I think he threw the fight. No excuses. Devin accepted to fight Ryan with him pay a fine for missing weight. Yeah, well, Devin agreed to it, so what is what it is. He could have said no. But yeah, he agreed to it and took his ass whooping. Khan's prime was 2009, 2016. Canelo fight was the last of Khan's prime. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think his absolute prime, where he was at his absolute best, was probably around 2011. I don't think he ever looked as good since then. Sonny Edwards versus Beterbiev. That would be like the Hulk versus Loki in that scene, where the Hulk picks him up. That'd be like that scene. Devin Haney losing made my week. Yeah, it made me feel pretty good too. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of petty of me, but yeah, that's how I felt. Ryan has some good hooks, but also winged a lot of left hooks too. If Ryan could use his reach for 12 rounds straight, you don't know if Ryan could use his reach for 12 rounds straight. I'm sure he could. He just needs to be taught how. He needs some proper coaching for that, So yeah, I'm sure he has the ability to do it. Bradley is the GOAT of bad and uneducated commentary, yeah. And also contradicting himself constantly, Debbie Haney was never a battle-tested pound-for-pound fighter like Inoue, Usyk. He was only privileged based on race. Yeah, exactly. He was picked out of obscurity as a kid and just given everything on a silver platter. It is what it is. He was just groomed and manufactured from an early age. I said before the fight that the only way this would be a good card is if Devin Haney loses, and it turned out to be a great card for everybody. Yep, great for the sport. Why do Anthony, Joshua, and Yard look like bodybuilders? I think they love lifting weights too much. That's why they gas. Yeah. Oh yeah, Anthony Yard for sure. That guy has no cardio. He gasses after just a few rounds, and he can't even get his hands up. And Anthony Joshua, yeah, that is true to a slightly lesser extent with him, but it is true. He's got a bodybuilder physique. Even Nordic has more power than Haney. Well, to be fair, like I'm a lot heavier than him, so I'd be embarrassed if I didn't have more power than him. So yeah. Bradley's a good boxer. Shit commentator. Yeah, he was a good boxer. He was quite good. He wasn't like elite, but he was a good technician in the ring. He was a awkward guy to fight. He was a bodybuilder with great stamina, actually. Salute Nordic. So glad Haney lost. Yeah, good to see you here, man. Deontay Wilder's fan club, BLM. Deborah Haney never deserved a pound for pound when, guys, Kazuta Ioka has achieved more than Haney deserved it. Yeah, but Kazuta Ioka isn't from America, and he's not one of the, born and bred establishment hype jobs, is he? He's not one of the chosen guys. So doesn't matter how great he is, Deontay Wilder, White Lives Matter, BLM. Paulie Malignaggi hits harder than Devin Haney. I think he does. Like, I genuinely think Paulie Malignaggi hit harder. I genuinely do. 78 was like, we won't give up on one of our own. We still hang and back Devin Haney. Listening to him and his fangirls cry like it was like attending a church service. Yeah, that guy's a complete and utter degenerate. But he'll get his comeuppance one day, I suspect. Paulie Malignaggi hits harder than Deontay Wilder. That's what Devin gets for attending black-tarred media pages. Yeah, absolutely. How often do you pray? Every single day, usually multiple times a day. Do Christians follow the Old Testament? Well, you have to take the old with the new. It's one whole scripture, You have to take the old with the new. Like there's prophecies in the Old Testament that were fulfilled in the New Testament. The only hall Tyson Fury should enter is the Hall of Frauds. Tyson Fury is the biggest fraud in history, literally, and that should be his legacy. Yeah, but will you be saying that after the fight if he wins? I doubt it. Unranked Otto Wallin chopped Fury up like a giant beefsteak. Well, he caught him with one good shot and opened a cut. I don't really think... I think that's a bit of an exaggeration, personally, Yeah, I got a job recently, but I haven't had a start date yet. It's they have to do some like weird ass background check, and they have to flip in because I'm working around vulnerable people or some crap like that. They've got to they've got to make sure everything's above board. There's some sort of license I need to have. I don't know. I'm waiting for it all to get sorted out. So yeah, I'm just waiting for that. Waiting for an email off them to get me started. According to Tank, apparently Floyd is trapped in Dubai. He owes money to people. Is Floyd going broke? Now Floyd might feed Tank to Loma and make him lose. I don't know, man. I haven't heard anything about that, so no idea. Did you watch Chariots of Fire yet? No, I've still not had a chance to watch that yet, but it's on my to-do list. I reckon Loma enjoyed Ryan Buck breaking Gainey, yeah. But I'm sure he would have rather done it himself, which he should have, Nefarious was a pretty good movie. I loved Nefarious. I thought that was a great movie. Really enjoyed it. How good do you think Jermaine Taylor was? Technically not very, but I think he was a good athlete. Like in his prime, he was a good athlete. He had great hand speed, good power. He had a decent jab, a decent straight right hand. And, his lateral movement was okay. He had kind of a herky-jerky style, and he was a good long-range boxer. Couldn't really fight on the inside, didn't have great stamina, didn't have a great chin, didn't have great defense, didn't have great survival instincts in the ring, tended to exhaust himself and waste his energy. So I think he was a very talented but technically limited fighter. And, he wasn't that efficient with his technique, if that makes sense. He was kind of a guy who would throw so many punches, and miss and tire himself out. That was kind of how all his losses occurred, Conor Benn fighting Sam Eggington. Yeah, apparently. Sam Eggington at his prime would probably win that. I was talking about it earlier. I don't know if the fight's actually happening. It's just somebody asked me who would win it. I think Ryan hits harder than Canelo. Um, he might hit harder than Canelo. I mean, two are a similar size, aren't they? So he's probably a lot faster and more explosive than Canelo. Based on the ranking, Haney versus Sandor Martin is next. Well, I got Sandor Martin winning that fight if it's real, but will it be real, or will Sandor Martin take a dive like he did against Teofimo Lopez? I don't know. It will depend if he actually comes to win or not. Every fighter 78 IQ TV simps over ends up getting brutally destroyed. That's usually the case. I can't listen to Eubank Senior for more than a couple of minutes. The guy's just a complete clown. Ryan is a fake Christian. He's in the secret society. Yeah, he's probably just an actor, like one of these Hollywood children, who's being used to push certain narratives. Did you manage to hear about Thunderdome and if he's okay? Oh, Thunderdome's fine. Thunderdome's fine. Don't worry about him. So good. He's been about. He's been in comment sections. I've checked it out. He's fine. He's all good. Thank God for that. Sven, Blacktodd, Curse Wilder, Fulton Spence, Charlo Haney, and Bomdrade. Yeah, it's kind of a curse. That's what I was saying though. Every single time, because it's kind of I don't believe in like karma, but I do believe in God. I do believe in spirituality, right? And I do believe in the concept of right and wrong, and the concept that you will face the consequences of your actions, right? Every single time one of these black fighters comes out and says, I'll never lose to a white boy. Now, guys like us are not allowed to criticize, because black people in America are basically above the law in that regard. They can say whatever they want. They can be racist, and you just have to accept it, right? So it's kind of out of our hands. We can't really do anything about it. We can't really openly criticize it. But what always does seem to happen, and it seems like an act of God to me, every single time one of these guys steps out of line and says that, they always end up with like a humiliating beating, and they always end up regretting it in the long run, because look at what happened to, say, Anthony Durrell when he said it. Look at what happened to Jermaine Taylor when he said it. Look at what happened to Bernard Hopkins when he said it. Look, where are all those guys now? What state of mind are all those guys in now? All of those guys can barely string a sentence together. They all took some horrendous beatings off of white guys. Like, they were all brutally and viciously knocked out by white guys at the end of their careers. And all of them are practically brain damaged now at this point. And Devin Haney looks like he's going down that route. That guy's going to end up, like, if he has real fights and he fights like world-class white guys during his career, with the weight cuts that he has to go through, and with the way that he has to, bust his ass and train so hard to make up for his lack of power and skill, he's going to end up a vegetable. Like, he's going to end up seriously hurt and injured at the end of his career if he's not very, very careful. So I do think that there's I don't know, call me crazy, call me superstitious. I think there's some sort of spiritual punishment involved, with people like that. People who think they're above the law, who think they're untouchable, and who think they can just say and do whatever they want and be protected by the establishment. There's always a higher power, a higher force, like a higher power that holds them accountable, if you know what I mean. And they always end up getting humiliated, and they always end up paying for their actions, if you know what I mean. So some of you might understand, but again, if you look at the history of these things, like someone was talking about the Blacktodd curse, like if you look at the history of these things and how they end up working out in the long run, it never works out well for these people, does it? Again, someone's just commented here. Same thing with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua said the same thing. The superior black race, this, that, and the other. And look at what happened. It just seems to be a spiritual irony, if you know what I mean. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like irony, So yeah, I'm trying to find that comment. Yeah, here. Fulton, Wilder, Spence, all of those guys,
they always seem to suffer a similar fate, and the ending of their careers and their legacies in general always tend to end up in tatters, don't they? Like, no one really looks favorably on Bernard Hopkins' resume anymore, do they? Or his legacy as a fighter because of the way it ended up. You know, he was considered a legend at one point, but now if you look at the general consensus about him, it's not the same, is it? You know, that's what it seems like to me anyway. Some of you might know what I'm talking about. Nor do you think Crawford card is stacked. People are saying it's the best card in decades when there's only 3 good fights at best on the card. 1, Tim versus Virgil. 2, Morrell versus Kalajic. 3, Crawford versus Madrimov. I mean, it's an okay card, but it's nothing special. Nothing special at all. I mean, seen much better cards than that, you know? This card isn't even better than May 18th, Fury versus Usyk card. 1, Usyk versus Fury. 2, Cordina versus Quaisa, however you pronounce his name. 3, Opetaia versus Briedis. 4, Cabello versus Sanchez. 5, Kovalev versus Savar. Even Inoue card has 4 world title fights on it. Yeah, both of those cards are a lot better than the Crawford card. A lot better, you know? I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad card, but again, I don't see what all the fuss is about. It's nothing special, you know? I don't see what all the fuss is about. Have you played Killer 7, God Hand, or Shadow of the Colossus on the PS2? No. But it's funny you should mention Shadow of the Colossus, because I am going to buy that soon. Because that's on my to-do list to play that game. Because I'm gonna play that soon and probably review it. I'm torn as to whether to buy the PS2 version or the remake on PS4. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. What do you think of the Metal Gear series? Well, I've never played one of the Metal games, but the Metal Gear games, but I am a big fan of stealth games. I actually just replayed Hitman Blood Money and recorded a full playthrough of it. Going to be uploading it soon on the other channel. Yeah, Thunderdome is alive. He's in comment sections. I've seen him about. Yeah, God bless him. Probably just taking a break from YouTube for his own reasons. He's probably got personal things to deal with. Hopefully he steps by here sometime and lets us know if he wants, you know. Which Black Hype jobs they got left? They're trying to move on to Tank or Crawford, but the LDBC dissed them. Well, the only reason that the LDBC had a problem with Crawford is because he had a rivalry with Spence, and you know Crawford was riding with Top Rank for a while, and you know Spence was you know one of the Al Heyman guys, and you know he was kind of the leader of like the Black Todd cult in America for a while. So you know that they were Team Spence, but you know when Crawford won, they jumped on his dick, and that you know they'll be swinging on his nuts for the time being, as long as he stays undefeated. And you know, as for Tank, I think it's probably because he has a bit of a rivalry with Devin Haney. And Devin Haney's like saying all the right things from their perspective. You know, though Haney is an evil person, he should have stopped that fight, but refused to because of his own ego. Yeah, he was. Look, he's willing to let his son get brain damage for his own ego. I mean, says a lot about the person. I tell you, if it was my son in there taking a beating, I'm not going to allow it. You know, I'm not going to allow it one bit. You know, I don't like Tank or Haney, but at least Haney is fighting way better opponents than Tank. Yeah, to be honest, I don't really care. Haney can fight Artur Beterbiev for all I care. He's still a prick, you know. Do you rate Jaron Ennis? Have you not watched him fight? I watched one fight of Jaron Ennis, and I think it was the Lipinets fight, if I remember rightly. It looked okay, but to be truth be told, I'm not really interested. I'm just not really interested. Don't forget, Spence was a Black Todd fight. Yeah, he was. Of course he was. But they abandoned him because he lost. That's what they do. Only fighters I respect nowadays are Inoue, Usyk, and Crawford. I don't respect Crawford, but I respect Inoue and Crawford. And Usyk, sorry. The weight excuse is BS anyway. Devin was probably 15 pounds heavier than Ryan in there. He was also hopped up on Victor Conte's secret sauce. Oh yeah, Devin's on all sorts of steroids. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Yeah, his peak was 140. Yeah, I agree. Khan was definitely. It was. Khan would have made it much further if it wasn't for his chin. Yeah. Well, to be honest, I don't think the chin was the main problem. To me, his main problem was his lack of defense and his slow reflexes. He seemed to have a blind spot for a lead left hook, and he would often get dropped and stopped with it. And he was just not that intelligent. He didn't really know how to use his height and reach and box to a game plan. At least not when he fought a good pressure fighter who could come forward and cut off the ring. I'm going to the Terence Crawford fight. Oh, good for you, man. Hope you enjoy it. Crawford deserves no respect. He used loaded gloves and also is on Victor Conte's secret sauce, yeah. And the fact that he drains all his opponents and has, dehydration clauses. I don't respect Crawford one bit. But, Crawford, like I've noticed Crawford is like the normies' favorite fighter right now. The normies love him just because, and it's all about what's on paper. It's because on paper, he has like the best record in boxing and the best like title resume in boxing. But again, that's what's on paper. It's not, it doesn't tell the full story. It's not clear as to the context behind all his fights and whatnot. They don't talk about how he always fights at home, how he always has his opponents drained, how he uses loaded gloves, and how there's just all this Canelo diva demands that he uses to keep undefeated. What do you think about Pauline's comments that Devin Haney is just him with money behind him? He's absolutely right. And Paulie had a certain amount of self-awareness. Devin Haney has no self-awareness whatsoever. He actually thinks, or he seems to think he's actually a great fighter. When in reality, he's just a feather-fisted slapper who has the establishment backing him, Paulie was better than Haney because Paulie actually had a decent chin. Yeah, Paulie had a great chin. He actually could take a shot, even though he had no power. He did have a chin, and that kind of made up for it at a certain level. Obviously, when he got to world level, it just got him horrendous beatings. But at domestic level, he was tough enough to duke it out at that level. Yep, Jesus is coming back soon. Repent and trust in him, and you shall be saved. Hey Nordic, I had a blast watching Devin Haney get whooped. Who are you picking to win that fight? Well, I thought it was probably fixed for Haney. I thought Ryan would take a dive, but I also thought if it was a real fight, Ryan would win. But I thought just it would just be a mismatch in terms of like what the establishment wanted. I'm calling it now. If Fury beats Usyk, he'll fight his WBA mandatory challenger Manwood Shaw next. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Which will lead to Joshua at Wembley after, yeah. I definitely think Fury versus Joshua will happen. And I mean, if it doesn't, I'll be surprised. I will be. After Loma beats up Kambosos, he should move down to 130 because it's a more stacked division at the moment. I've been saying for about a year or something I'd like to see Loma do that, but I don't think he will. And I think at this stage of his career, he's not going to see much financial incentive to move down in weight, even though I think 130 was his best division, Fury and AJ are both overhyped British frauds. Well, AJ's not British, he's Nigerian, and Fury, well, will you be calling him a fraud after he beats Usyk? I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. Americans say they won't rate Inoue unless he fights in America. Do you know what? I know he's fought there 3 times already. I hope he never fights in America again. I hope he spends the rest of his career in Japan or just in Europe or whatever, like anywhere but America, because America needs to be, like the American boxing establishment needs to be humbled, but there's boxing outside of that country, I like Sam Eggington. His fight against Ted Cheeseman was the best fight during lockdown. Oh, that fight was incredible. And Sam Eggington's been in a lot of fights like that. So as Ted Cheeseman. Those guys were always entertaining to watch. Who do you think would win between Floyd Mayweather and Paul Williams? I think Paul Williams was too big. too big, too tall, too strong, too aggressive, too much volume, too awkward. You know, the tall southpaw stance. I think it would be too much. I think he would outbox Floyd at long range and then like start breaking him down with his size later on. I think he'd stop him late or win on points. Which boxing style is easy to learn? I say the Soviet style is easy because you could learn how to be slick like Bivol, Loma, or be aggressive like Artur, Triple G. Well, I'd say that the Artur, Triple G type, sort of low volume pressure fighting style is a little bit easier to learn and a bit easier to practice than say like a Bivol style, where you're constantly in and out and everything off the jab and controlling it at long range. It's difficult to learn that. Very difficult to learn that. I actually sparred this week, Wednesday. I sparred with this guy. I don't know much about the guy, but he's had about 19 fights, something like that, and he's a light heavyweight. And I won't tell you his name because I don't know him that well. I don't want to put his information out there. But yeah, this guy's pretty good. And he was kind of like Bivol, like he was constantly in and out, sticking the jab, throwing it to the head, throwing it to the body, leading with the right hand sometimes. And he was also kind of a switch hitter. So like he would switch to southpaw. So like when he was throwing his right jab or his left jab from an orthodox stance, I would try and slip under it and land my right to the body. But then this guy would adjust and he would switch to southpaw. And he would like throw like a half hook, half uppercut with his left hand from a southpaw stance. And he would catch me to the body, then the head with the same punch. And I wouldn't even see it coming. And I'm like, man, this guy's fast. And yeah, that kind of reminded me of Dmitry Bivol. It was kind of like, when you watch Dmitry Bivol fight and he'll use his lead hand and he'll throw like a hook to the head, hook to the body. And his opponents just don't see it coming. And then by the time they notice, he's already off the line and he's on the other side of the ring. That's a very, very difficult style to learn, I think. Like good, like mobile, long range boxing. And it's difficult to deal with in sparring. Whereas if you're trying to be like more of a pressure fighter, obviously a lot of it relies on your sort of your balance and your high guard and stuff like that. That's a lot easier to learn. I think it's a lot easier to practice. You can practice that without really thinking too much. But I think guys like Lomachenko and guys like Bivol, they're the kind of fighters where they've got a very, very high boxing IQ to the point where they just seem to be mentally sharper than most people. Like their reflexes seem to be off the charts. And it seems to be something that you've either got or you don't. Like I could never fight like that. But I don't think I would ever have the reflexes or just the boxing IQ to be able to box like someone like Bivol or Loma. I just wouldn't be able to do it. So I don't think I could ever learn that style. That's kind of a tangent there, but I think some of you know what I'm talking about, Where was I? Wow, I've got a lot of comments here. I wasn't expecting to be that busy. Maybe the Black Card fighters were trash anyway, especially when a white boy destroys them. Yeah. They're the greatest thing ever, pound for pound number one, until they lose to a white guy. Then they're just not worth talking about after that. You rarely hear about them again after it. Black Americans are the most privileged people on earth. Only the small-hatted tunnelers have an argument for more privilege. Yeah, that sums it up really, doesn't it? Ali dissed white people and a black fighter in Fraser, and Fraser gave him his first loss. And look what Henry Cooper did. Yeah, and look at how Ali, look at how he ended up. I mean, the guy was miserable for the majority of his life. Like the vast majority of his life, he couldn't even string a sentence together. Like the guy was severely brain damaged. I mean, that doesn't sound like a very fulfilled life to me, Joe Smith is a real G for the way he wiped the floor with Hopkins. Yeah, and Hopkins deserved it. He deserved everything he got that night. And that fight kind of, in a way, it kind of destroyed his legacy because that's all people remember. Him taking a flying leap out the ring and landing on his head. And that's what they remember. Free Johnny Boy so I can get his live commentary for Bivol or Beterbiev stopping Bivol. Yeah. Tyson Fury is English Floyd Mayweather, cherry picking his opponents. If Tyson Fury knew he would beat Usyk, he wouldn't have delayed on the dot like with what. Yeah, look, Fury knows it's a difficult fight. I think he's going to win, but he knows it's a difficult fight, so he's going to be training very, very hard, and he's taking the fight very seriously because he knows this isn't a cherry pick. This isn't a washed up Derek Chisora. It isn't a Dillian White who's out of shape. It's an actual genuine challenger who's if he's coming to win is going to give him a lot of problems. They should have titled Ruiz versus Miller the Battle of the Blubber. Yeah, winner gets a free lifetime supply of burgers. Winner gets a free buffet or something. I think Joshua learned his lesson, hopefully, but he attended Music of Black Excellence event, so he needs another beating, yeah. Well, yeah, AJ has a superiority complex. He's already made that very clear. What do you think the whole don't shop in their shops thing was all about? I mean, that what rubs me up the wrong way about that, not the fact that he said it, right? Because again, I already knew what Anthony Joshua was like long before that. Because of what he said to Eddie Chambers. But the whole don't shop in their shops thing rubbed me up the wrong way because of the sheer hypocrisy of it. And the fact that people in this country still continue to support him and still continue to shout, "Oh, Anthony Joshua," and waving the British flag like he represents them after he said, "Don't shop in their shops." I mean, could you imagine if a white guy did that? If a white guy said something similar? Could you imagine what the backlash would have been? Seriously. People think the cards are special because of how of a standard we're used to. Yeah, I was talking about that before. Boxing cards nowadays are such low standard that when we get a card that has a couple of good fights or a couple of title fights on it or something, everyone acts like it's the greatest card ever. It's like gaming. When they release an open world game and they're like, "Oh, you can fly around an open world," and everyone acts like it's the greatest thing ever because games are that crap nowadays that even superficial things like that you could do back in the PS2 days are now considered like some amazing technological advancement. Miller versus Ruiz should be sneakers versus cheeseburgers. Yeah. Don't start a business, Nordic. AJ won't shop at your shop. Well, I tell you one thing. AJ wouldn't be welcome in my shop. I'll put up one of them signs that says, "We reserve the right to refuse service to anybody." And then when AJ walks in, I'll say, "Hey, we don't serve your kind here because you won't shop in our shops." Well, you ain't welcome in my shop. The only reason why people think it's so great because Tim versus Virgil is on there. Yeah, that makes the card a lot better for sure. That makes it because that is a great fight. It is a great fight, and it's a difficult one to call. But I mean, I don't see what the fuss is all about. It's not that great a card. It's a great card by today's standard, and that's all it is. I'd shop at your shop, Nordic, even if I was a minority over my own. Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, minorities are welcome, but just not Anthony Joshua. Not people like him, people who behave the way he does and say the things he says about my people in my country, and Anthony Joshua he's biting the hand that feeds him is the point I'm trying to make. His manager is his trainer at the time was white. His manager was white. Okay, most of his fans, I'd say 90% of his fans are white. His promoter's white. Okay, most of his friends are white. And then he comes out and says, "Don't shop in their shops," and making racially charged comments like that, talking about superior race. Who does he think he is, saying things like that in the situation that he's in? I mean, it's different. Somebody like, say, I don't know, if somebody like Samuel Peter said something like that, a Nigerian, grew up in Nigeria, you could understand him having that perspective. Being from Africa and maybe having a tribalistic mindset. But Anthony Joshua, a guy growing up in London, like in Watford, like a white suburb near London, with a very, very privileged background, and a guy who has white trainers, white promoters, white managers, white fans, white accountants, all this other stuff, all these white people who are propping up his career and paying him and literally supporting this guy's livelihood, and then for him to come out and shit on working class British culture and say don't shop in their shops. I don't know. That really rubs me up the wrong way, like a lot more than someone like Devin Haney saying I wouldn't lose to a white boy. Like, to me, what Anthony Joshua said hits home a lot harder, if you know what I mean, because of the sheer context of it. I think it was a lot worse what he said, if truth be told. Yeah. I mean, it's a good fight, no doubt about it. But will it be a real one? I remember how much they were insisting that Fulton would beat Inoue, and since he lost, they've never mentioned him again. Yeah. It's like Fulton doesn't even exist anymore. Same with Gary Russell. Same with Rigondeaux. Same with Nicholas Walters. Same with what's the other one? F.A. Ajagba. All these guys that the LDBC were jumping on. None of these guys, ever since they lost, it's like they don't exist. It's like they vanished off the face of the planet and they're not interested. It's like black on black crime. They don't want to talk about it. That's what it's like, man. It really is. Bill Haney's mum, a Black Panther. Is that true? That wouldn't surprise me one bit. Bill Haney is an example of a father trying to live his dreams and life through his kid. Yeah, like he's living vicariously through his kid. Kind of like John Fury is with Tyson Fury. It's a similar situation, Seems like it. Everyone needs to be aware Crawford did re-sign with Bob, even though he thought Bob was the white master screwing him over. Well, that's anti-Semitic, isn't it? Because Bob is a Jew, so yeah, it's he's an anti-Semite. Crawford is. I need to put that out there, don't I? I need to like tweet that or something and say, I don't use Twitter, but like I need to tweet Terence Crawford makes anti-Semitic comments about promoter Bob Arum. Terence Crawford needs to be cancelled, and just put the idea out there, and maybe it will happen. That'll be quite funny, actually. Anyone who's with Conte is suspect. I mean, why would you be with Conte? What is it because he'll give you nutritional advice? I say that in quotations. Nutritional advice, yeah. Dana White slagging off Victor Conte, still funny. I saw that video. That was quite funny. Where someone asked him about Victor Conte and he started roasting him and talking about how Victor Conte is a snitch and all that. That was funny. But let's be honest, he was absolutely right in what he was saying and about the hypocrisy of Victor Conte. Is it me or his Crawford opponents don't even try to win? I think it's that they're probably drained to within an inch of their lives, and they're fighting a guy who's juiced up and has loaded gloves. Don't get the remake if you can. It's worse. Get the PS2 or PS3 HD version of Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah, I'll consider it because either way, whatever version I get, I want to play the game. I do want to play it. So yeah, I'll definitely be playing it and probably reviewing it at some point. Do you follow MMA at all? And if you don't, is it something you want to get into a bit more? I watch it occasionally. I'm not like it's not something I enjoy very much. I prefer boxing a lot more. Like but I do want to take up MMA. Like I do want to actually train it. I've thought about like training it with my brother because he does MMA and he competes in that. And I've thought about taking it up. So yeah, we'll see. But in terms of watching it, I don't find it that entertaining to watch usually, Prime Kell Brook would have beaten Spence and Crawford. I agree. I think Prime Brook would have beaten both of them. The angry normies will have a meltdown when Fury beats Usyk. I don't know if they will. I actually think what will happen there is they'll jump on Fury's nuts and say he's the greatest ever and that he shocked the world and all that stuff. That's what they'll say. I think they'll be Team Fury after that. I would prefer Usyk to win, but I would be interested to see what Fury does if he beats Usyk. Yeah, I would prefer Usyk to win. Don't get me wrong. I've never denied that. I think Fury will win, but I would prefer like just in my opinion, I would prefer Usyk to win. Crawford couldn't put a dent in Amir Khan despite landing his best shots, but he dropped Spence and Brook with weak jabs. Yeah, because for one, Spence was weight drained and severely brain damaged, and Brook had a dehydration clause and was weight drained. So I suspect that had a lot to do with them not even being able to take a jab off both of them. Yeah, eggs versus cheese was a great fight. Yeah, cheese and egg. Yeah, Cheeseman and Eggington and Cheeseman are always in great fights whenever they fight. It's always entertaining. Most dumb casuals rooting on Fury's size, his only attribute. Every other attribute goes to Usyk. But I mean, it's not just size though. It's also about being able to use your size and being economical with your strength. You know, Fury's very, very good at it, and Usyk won't be able to deal with it, I don't think. But we'll see. Hopefully, I'm wrong. We'll see. Loma, for his last fight, should move down to 126 to fight Inoue. Yeah, well, I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, he's fought at 126 before, so but it would be hard for him to make 126 at this stage of his career, I think. I mean, he's like mid-30s now, so it'll be hard for him to make it, I think. Be possible, but very difficult. No Nordic. AJ is British. He's lived in the UK, so I don't care where he lives. Where he was born and what flag he flies means absolutely nothing. Doesn't make him British. But if I was born in Azerbaijan, I wouldn't be Azerbaijani. Yeah, if I came out and said, don't shop in their shops, do you think they'd consider me one of them? I don't think so. You know. AJ ain't British. He has an African tattoo with wisdom. Yeah, he does. Yeah, and yeah, Fury's a traveler. But again, Fury occasionally calls himself British. Other times he changes his mind and says he's Irish. Other times he says he's neither. He's a traveler. Like Fury has like a serious identity crisis of his own. You know. Same with Chisora. He calls AJ his African brother, not his British brother. Exactly. See, when the chips are down, these people always show you their true allegiance and where they truly lie. Like they'll fly the British flag and they'll play God Save the Queen and all this other stuff when it's making them money. But when it's politically convenient to do so, or when they get into their feelings a little bit and the money's not coming in like it once was, they'll always go back to "you're my African brother" and don't shop in their shops. You know, they'll always show their true colors eventually. Derek Chisora is literally an illegal immigrant from Zimbabwe. I'm never going to call him British, and he's a sodomite anyway. So even if he was like the palest, like ginger Scotsman of all time, I still wouldn't call Derek Chisora my brother because he takes it up the ass. So he can do one. As far as I'm concerned, you know. Honestly, do you think Amir Khan would have beaten Mayweather in a real fight? Probably not, but I think he would have given him problems with his speed from the outside. You know, because just for a few rounds, he would have probably outboxed him just throwing arm punches from long range. Because Mayweather didn't really have the power to do to Khan what like someone like Maidana was able to do. You know, and get inside and hurt him and stun him, but. I think in the long run, Floyd might have figured him out and won on points, but I think Khan would have won some rounds, particularly early in the fight. You know, I'm going to be hopeful and positive. I don't think Beterbiev will lay down. Probably not. I think just going off gut feeling here. I don't know this for certain. Just going off gut feeling, I think that's probably going to be a real fight. I think it's probably going to be a real fight. I think Beterbiev and Bivol are both fighting men, and I think they're both going to win. I do. Smith also ended Hopkins being able to say he was never stopped. Exactly, because again, Hopkins always found a way out of getting stopped. Like when he quit against Robert Allen, and he ended up with a no contest. When he quit against Chad Dawson, and he ended up with a no contest. Like both of them should have been stoppage losses. But Hopkins found the coward's way out and got out of them. He tried to do the same thing when he fought what was I going to say? When he fought Joe Smith, but he ended up taking a flying leap out of the ring after getting hit with a left hook and was brutally knocked out. So it didn't work for him. He wasn't able to weasel and cower his way out of the fight. So I'm glad that that's how Hopkins' career ended, because the guy was a bitch and a cheat and a coward. And he ended his career as a bitch and a cheat and a coward looking for a way out. And that's how he's remembered. Like, people actually remember Hopkins for his losses. They remember him saying that he would never lose to a white boy, and then getting bitch slapped by Joe Calzaghe, getting beaten up by Kovalev and running all night and spoiling his way through it, and ending up doing a flying leap out of the ring against Joe Smith after getting his ass kicked. You know, that's how people remember Bernard Hopkins. They don't even remember his accomplishments anymore, because when you look back at his career, the guy was just a cheater and a fraud. You know, his whole career was built on fouls and corruption. You know, so his legacy is in tatters. Like again, when do you see people going on about Bernard Hopkins's great performances and his great legacy? They don't really talk about it like that, do they? Like, they still talk about Roy Jones's great legacy, even though he had a lot of knockout losses, because Roy Jones did have some great performances and some great fights. You know, he wasn't like as much of a habitual cheater as Hopkins was. But with Hopkins, it's just the way his career ended was, I think, it was kind of like justice, you know? It was him being held to account for his conduct over the years, you know? That's just kind of how I see it. And I see a similar thing with Devin Haney, you know? Yeah, Floyd was supposed to fight Khan, but he didn't want to fight him, so he fought Maidana instead. Like, probably thought it was a fight that suited him stylistically, and he ended up nearly losing that one, you know? I've always had an easy time sparring switch hitters. They never know how to defend in southpaw. Well, the issue I had is that I didn't expect it, because the guy spent like the whole first round using his jab and just boxing me behind it, and I was like blocking it with my high guard. And I'm like, okay, the next round I'm gonna start working the body and start like timing his jab. But then he started, and then he threw me off because he switched to southpaw and started catching me with like double hooks from a southpaw stance from his rear hand, like catching me with a left hook to the body, then a left hook to the head, and I don't see them coming. And it was just quite difficult to read. Like, I think if we spar again, it'll probably be more competitive, you know? And plus, it was a big experience difference. The guy was very experienced, and he had a big height and reach advantage over me, you know? Yo, how's it going? God bless you, man. Your Fury versus Usyk prediction thumbnail. It's funny. Usyk looks really bad. I didn't make that thumbnail, to be fair. I think I found it on Google, if I remember rightly. I just thought it would suit the video, you know? AJ will get BLM to destroy your shop if you say that, and give you a speech after it's over. Yeah, he would do that. He seems the type, doesn't he? You know, it's so fake as well. Like, Anthony Joshua's, you know, his personality, like the nice guy act that he gives, and, you know, this flag waving British patriot, it's so fake. Like, the guy is so fake. Like Dillian White was absolutely right what he said about AJ years ago, where AJ will criticize him and like act like he's a scumbag from the street, but AJ is like this prim and proper, like media trained celebrity, like role model, when really he's a scumbag from the street too. Like, he's a former drug dealer, you know, a thug, a bully, a coward, a hypocrite, you know, a two-bit, you know, a two-bit hired muscle. Like that's what Anthony Joshua is. He's a two-bit street thug, and he's a fraud. You know, he's nowhere near the type of person he portrays himself, you know. Wilder's a good example of a superiority complex. He's cool with guys like Kalenius because he feels superior to them. Even after the first Fury fight, he was fine because he dropped him twice. Yeah, that's true. I can see what you mean there. Have you played Forbidden Siren on PS2? Best horror game? I've never played it, no. I might check it out though eventually, like, because I've got quite a few PS2 horror games, and there's quite a few I've not played yet that I'd like to check out. I think the PS2 probably had like the PS2 probably had the best horror games. I think like that era had so many of them. But after Fury beat him, he couldn't stand him because he no longer felt superior to him. Yeah, and he wouldn't even shake his hand after the third fight. He's like, I don't respect you. I don't respect you. Like, he would have respected him if he took a dive, like he respected Chris Arreola and bloody Spilka and all those guys, you know. Shows the victim mentality of a lot of them. Yeah, exactly. It's true. And it's a shame. It's the way they've been conditioned to behave by the establishment, you know. Yeah, he does. Joshua has white brand sponsorships. And most of the people Joshua affiliates with are white. Most of them. It's true. And then he goes out and says that. Like, no self-awareness whatsoever. Most Amir Khan fights, right? No, that's not true, actually. No. Most of Amir Khan's fights are... most of Amir Khan's fans are Pakistani. It's actually different with Amir Khan. You know how Anthony Joshua was kind of marketed to the white British football crowd and they got behind him. Well, they tried doing something similar with Amir Khan and it didn't really work. Like, most people in Britain don't like Amir Khan. He's not that well liked here. If you look at his fights in Britain, most of the crowds tend to boo Khan and root for his opponent. Like, look at when he fought Paul McCloskey, for example. The crowd was cheering for McCloskey, even though it was near Khan's hometown. You know, that fight was in Manchester. Khan's from Bolton, but that fight was in Manchester. It's not too far. And the crowd were cheering for the Irishman. You know, when he fought Brook, most of the crowd were cheering for Brook. You know, it's a situation. Khan is not that well liked in the UK. And the only people who are like his diehard fans who supported him all the way through were Pakistanis, basically, because they didn't have many good fighters, you know, because I don't know, that there's been a few like decent Pakistani boxers in Britain, but none of them went anywhere near as far as Khan. You know, none of them got to that level. Like, you had guys like Jav Khalik, he was quite good, he did quite well, but you know, he was kind of a late start. But I think when Amir Khan came around, you know, he was the first Pakistani fighter who was like a massive like success in boxing, you know, Olympic medalist, world champion, unified champion. Like, there'd never been anything like it from that community. So I think that was why he had such a big following from that contingent of people. But most of the white British fans didn't really like Khan. They didn't really take to him. And I don't think they ever did, to be perfectly honest. It was different with Anthony Joshua, where the vast majority of his fans are white. Like most of like the casual British public support Anthony Joshua. You know, they did take to him. You know, is the StreamYard profile pic foreshadowing the next game review? Not the next review, but the next something. I got something Hitman related, which is coming to the channel. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm actually branching out from not just reviews. I'm going into basically walkthroughs and full playthroughs and stuff like that. I'm doing stuff like that on the channel as well as reviews now. I'm branching out a bit. But there will be Hitman reviews coming relatively soon. There will be some of them too. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, that is also coming. My coach wants me to put on weight because he thinks I have a lot of talent, but being 6'1" with speed and power against 140-pound people is very easy. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can make 140 at 6'1" and you can do it comfortably without having an eating disorder and starving yourself, I would go ahead and do it for as long as you can. But obviously, your coach knows you better than I do. And if you feel stronger and more and less chemically unbalanced at a higher weight, then go ahead and put on weight. I wouldn't worry about it. You know, you're a young guy, so it is what it is. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. Like, I wouldn't tell anybody to dictate to you what weight you should be. And you know, I think if you feel comfortable at 200 pounds, be 200 pounds. It's exactly what you want. I mean, it's entirely up to you. You know. Sonny Edwards called out Bam Rodriguez for using steroids at the pre-fight press conference, and Bam never denied it. Just like AJ never denied having the TUE. Yeah, probably because they don't want to lie, because they probably know it's true, but they want plausible deniability in the sense that they don't want to be held accountable for whatever it is they're taking. They just let their legal team deal with it, So yeah, that's kind of how it works. I saw Nicholas Walters on Wednesday, Pro Box TV. Never really fell off, but he won. Oh, did he fight again then? I thought Nicholas Walters retired. I didn't think he actually fought after the Loma fight, unless he did, and I just forgot about it or didn't hear. Yeah, I agree with your skepticism, Nordic. But assuming there's no funny business, who would you favour in the Crawford fight? 50-50 fight to me. 50-50 fight. Madramov's the bigger guy, bigger puncher, probably more skilled, but Crawford is, again, he has all the steroids, he has the political establishment backing him. He, he has loaded gloves, all sorts of crap, So I don't know. It just seems inevitable that Crawford's fights are rigged in his favor, That PS2 original Xbox catalog is so loaded with games, it's crazy. Exactly. You would never run out of games to play from that generation. There's so many great ones, so many fun ones, Boxing might be the sport with the most reactionary fan base. This seismic change in comment sections after someone wins or loses a fight is crazy. People don't seem to have their own mind. Yeah. And if someone loses, they need to retire. They're garbage. They're the worst ever. Someone wins. They're pound for pound number one. They're the greatest of all time. And it will literally go from one extreme to the next. That easily and that quickly, It's crazy. It's shocking how little self-awareness these people have. Usyk versus Prime Holyfield. Usyk on points. Don't think he'd stop Holyfield, but I think he'd win on points pretty easily. God bless everyone. Yeah, God bless you too, Michael. Good to see you here, man. Strap the rocket. Garcia now. The next Canelo type high job, yeah. Yeah, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. I got a steelbook copy of Arkham City for PS3 from CX when I was in London. £2 the other week for £2. That's awesome, man. That's a great game. Great game. I'm actually thinking of doing another playthrough of it, but doing it on New Game Plus and recording it all as one part for the channel. I'm thinking of doing it. UFC fights are really fun when they're striking. If you want to watch a UFC, watch a fighter like Ilia Topuria. Yeah, I agree. I don't like MMA fights when it's always grabbing and rolling about on the ground. I just don't like watching it. Like, I appreciate the technique and the skills and stuff like that, but I don't enjoy watching it personally. I prefer the striking stuff like boxing, A lot of MMA fans are just as bad as the Ameribon fans, but in a different way, yeah. Well, I don't really hang out in MMA communities, so I don't really know what the fan bases are like personally. But I suspect it's full of normies, just like the boxing fan bases, I'm seeing a few people give Kambosos a good chance against Loma. I'm convinced it's a mismatch. Yeah. Kambosos, unless Loma takes a dive, he's not going to lose to Kambosos. not even close. I wish we had got to see Maidana versus Matisse. That would have been a great fight. And I think they fought in the amateurs several times, if I remember rightly. So that would have been interesting. I think Maidana would have won personally, but I think it would have been interesting. I remember how hilarious the Roy Jones rematch was, and how hilarious Jean Pascal was taking the piss out of him. Yeah. The Pascal versus Hopkins face-off is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Like, that was one of the funniest face-offs you will ever see in what do you call it, in boxing, like the face-off between them. So, like, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's so funny, man. So funny. Hopkins' only decent wins were against welterweights and over-the-hill guys. His best win is Jean-Pascal IMO. One of his better wins from the later part of his career. I think Kelly Pavlik was a better fighter than Pascal, but he was out of shape. And I'd say Babet Shumanov was, I think, a bit more skilled. I know resume-wise, he wasn't as good, but I think he was more skilled than Pascal. And, him and Hopkins had a close fight, But I do think Hopkins' resume was very overrated. I really do. I didn't rate Valuev very highly, but I do think he was a very tough guy. And he was a guy who had good stamina. You know, he could box for 12 rounds. He had decent boxing fundamentals. But I don't think he was like an elite heavyweight. Nothing like that, you know. 78 stone TV versus Big Baby Miller in a fighting contest. Probably 78 stone TV. I would say he's probably got a bit more experience, you know. Adidas made Khan one of a kind boxing shoes. Floyd wanted to buy them, and he's a huge shoe collector. Khan refused to sell them. Floyd held a grudge ever since. That's why they didn't get the fight. Yeah, I'm sure it had nothing to do with his hand speed or his boxing style, you know. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm actually exporting a video while I'm doing this. Right, where was I? AJ went back to Graham Norton's house, apparently. Very suspicious activity. Why, what was AJ doing at Graham Norton's house? I do remember him being on the Graham Norton show. Anthony Joshua is the John Cena of boxing. Women and kids love him, and the hardcores hate him. Yeah, they do. Prince Nazim. Yeah, Prince Nazim. Well, are you talking about being Pakistani? Well, Prince Nazim wasn't Pakistani. He was Yemenis, so he's a little bit different. So yeah, he wasn't Pakistani. He was Yemenis. Why is Amir Khan hated in the UK? It's mostly his personality. Like, people just can't take to Khan. The guy's just a prick, and he talks a lot of nonsense. I think it's a personality thing, you know. He's not as marketable as Anthony Joshua. You know, you can't take a guy who's like dumb as a boxer, you know, dumb as a rock like Amir Khan. Like, Terence Crawford's a great fighter, and I love law. I listen to your thump, I'm talking. You know, you can't take a guy like that and make him into like a likable, marketable fighter. Like, the guy's a total chav. Like, if you ever actually listen to Amir Khan talk or hear him like talk about fights or anything, like, the guy just comes across as a dickhead. He comes across as like a total like street thug, and he's not very good at hiding it, if you know what I mean. And I think people in the UK just never took to Khan. Like, he just wasn't a likable person, you know. I would say anything I would say about AJ online to his face, because what's he going to do if he fights me? He'll get set about. I'm not a beta male university student that he can intimidate. Yeah, me as well. Like, I wouldn't be intimidated by Anthony Joshua. I mean, yeah, he's twice as big as me and would probably knock me out. But I would, if I punched him in the face, it would hurt him. Could maybe knock him out, you know. I'm not going to be scared of him, you know. Personally, I don't mind Khan. I find him quite funny, and I like his style. Yeah, he was quite funny. And even though he was overrated, his fights were entertaining. Like, I don't think he was ever in a boring fight, you know. They were very entertaining. Naoya Inoue, smart not fighting America is because how corrupt the establishment are, because he's seen that they can screw him over for one, they black or Hispanic hype jobs. Yeah, they would definitely like if the what's his name Fulton fight was in America, they probably would have robbed him. They'd have probably had a referee that would have protected Fulton, and judges that would have given, you know, American judges would have probably given Fulton any of the rounds that were even remotely close, you know. If they were remotely close, he would have got them. Crawford wasn't a big puncher at lightweight, but now he's a massive puncher at welterweight. Nobody questions this, yeah. It's nothing to do with his loaded gloves, nothing to see here. You know, his gloves literally blew up, both of them, in the same fight. But there's nothing to see there, you know. It's just ignore it. Played the Xbox version of The Force Unleashed last night. I enjoyed it. About to play some more now. Yeah, that's a good game, The Force Unleashed. The second one was good too. Like, the problem with the second one is it was way too short. But the first one was just the right length, I think. It's a fun game. It's like a fun third-person hack and slash game. I enjoyed it. Played any popular PC games? I'm not much of a PC gamer personally. Like I played some of the Harry Potter games on PC. They were quite fun, but I haven't played any of the the established ones. I think you'd enjoy Pride and K1 more than UFC. Probably, I probably would, because it'd probably be more striking. Man, I hope he doesn't take a dive. Did you rate Jean Pascal? Not really. Like Pascal was tough. Like he had a good chin, he had quick hands and decent power, but skill wise, he was terrible, and stamina was terrible too. I think that was his worst attribute. He was another one of these bodybuilder fighters. He was like a tougher version of Anthony Yard, I'd say. Similar fighting style too, actually. He was, yeah, because Tarver had just got done filming the Rocky movie he was in, where he basically blew up in weight. And when he fought Bernard Hopkins, apparently he was badly weight drained. Was you much of a fan of pro wrestling as a kid? I wasn't a big fan of it, but I did watch it occasionally. Like I used to watch TNA wrestling, with like Sting and Kurt Angle and guys like that, Kurt Angle I always liked. I always rooted for him. Thought he was quite funny. Like, I won an Olympic gold medal with a broken neck. Like I used to find him quite funny. Would you rather drink 2 liters of Diet Iron Brew or listen to the LDBC tell you how oppressed they are by the system? I'd probably the LDBC because I could listen to them cry about how Devin Haney lost. So yeah, who had a better career, Khan or Brook? Definitely. I mean, Khan might have had bigger fights against bigger names, but Brook had more consistent wins, better performances against a similar level of opposition. And, was just a better fighter in general who proved himself at a higher level, I think, Yeah, Amir Khan baited Kell Brook and nearly got destroyed. Yeah, he did. Yeah, with the whole Poppadom chin thing. That was quite funny, wasn't it? Khan versus Brook press conference was funny. They were both exposing each other's degeneracy. Yeah, they were. It was quite funny, to be fair. I live in Bolton, and everyone I know wanted Brook to beat Khan. Yeah, they did. Like that's the thing. I remember when Brook versus Khan was in negotiation for years, and people constantly said that Khan was the A side, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Brook can fill a stadium. Like Brook literally was able to fill a stadium in Sheffield, and Brook had fought on pay-per-view several times. I mean, he fought Frankie Gavin on pay-per-view. That was a big fight. Brook was a much bigger draw than Khan was, and he had a bigger fan base, and he had more support from the British public. So Khan was never the A side. Brook was the A side by far for years against Khan, But the difference was Khan didn't want the fight, and Brook did. That was the difference. Yeah, I get it. Khan is an asshole. Khan said he was at an event to support fighters, especially the Asian ones. Radically biased prick, yeah. And his little brother represented Pakistan in the Olympics and not Britain. So don't anybody tell me that he's British when he literally represented Pakistan and not Britain. So yeah, again, pick a country who you're going to represent. Thoughts on Gvozdyk versus Benavidez? If that's a real fight, I think Gvozdyk wins it. If it's not, then if it's fixed, it'll probably be for Benavidez. But there's a chance Gvozdyk could be past his prime and partially brain damage from that Beterbiev fight. So maybe that'll give Benavidez a chance. But I think if it's a real fight, I think Gvozdyk wins. I think Gvozdyk wins on points probably. If he's anywhere close to his prime. What do you think about Adam Azim? Never watched him before. Don't know much about him. Kurt Angle, I'm not a big fan of Black. Did he say that? Kurt Angle? I don't know Kurt Angle said that. When did he say that? Was it not what's his name? Hulk Hogan that said that. I thought it was Hulk Hogan. Or did they both say it? I don't know. But yeah, I liked Kurt Angle. He was an entertaining wrestler, Khan could have never beaten Sean Porter. No, Sean Porter would have destroyed Khan. Stylistically, that's a bad fight for Khan. what do you call it? Porter would have gotten inside and smothered him and probably beaten him up and stopped him. Like, he would have battered him. Like, stylistically, that's a bad fight for Khan. Plus, Porter's a lot bigger, and I mean a lot bigger naturally. You know, like, he was massive for a welterweight. You know. All right. Where was I? Did you find Hatman's analysis on Joshua meltdown against Usyk insightful, and how the regular members of the public don't understand alpha? Is that what Hatman said, mate? Mate, look, Hatman is he is an absolute genius at sounding smart to like stupid people. Like stupid people would listen to someone like him and they think he's a genius. They think he's like a philosopher. I listen to him and I just hear a guy talking crap and talking out his ass. Like, I can't listen to Hatman for like 20 seconds now. Like, the guy is, I don't know, man. Like, just he says a lot without really saying anything, if you know what I mean. But the normies enjoy it, don't they? So here's what it is. Whatever happened to the great Haroon Khan? I've no idea. Since the Olympics, I've not much heard of him. Haroon Khan is getting wasted in the clubs, yeah. In the club. Because he's a good Muslim, of course. He's getting wasted in the clubs. Yeah. Who would have won, Salvador Sanchez versus Marquez at featherweight? I go with Marquez on points. Would be a great fight, though, but I would go with him on points. Shout out to Lee Talks Boxing. God bless you. Won 20 quid on Garcia. Well done, man. Well done. That's a good little result there, then, isn't it? It's a good result, man. Kurt Angle did say that. Hulk Hogan said some things. All right. I don't think I knew about the Kurt Angle one. I know Hulk Hogan said something like that, but the Kurt Angle one, I don't know much more about. Lee spent that 20 quid on black brass. Said it in a scripted promo to add more heat to his character. All right, did he? I don't know. Hatman is a good grifter, to give him some credit. Yeah, he's very, very talented at grifting. Like, do you think I should try that? Do you think it would be too obvious if I did that? Like, if I tried to do like a psychological breakdown of like boxing and these fighters and a glass half full attitude and alpha male, and you just don't get the deep complexities in it. Like if I was to do that and put on a fake accent and everything, do you guys think that the normies would watch my video and think, wow, this guy is so insightful? You know, he's like Sigmund Freud. He's like Jordan Peterson. This guy, oh man, like would I end up like an e-celeb if I did that? I don't know. I think it would be too obvious if I did it. It would be too insincere, you know. Hatman should make his Bouncer series free. Could you imagine paying for that? Could you imagine actually paying money to hear Hatman talk about, like, make up bullshit stories about when he was a bouncer? Like BS stories about how he was the hardest bouncer in London and no one wanted to mess with him. Like, could you imagine? Like, it's bad enough actually listening to that, but imagine paying for it. Seriously, man. Hatman waffles so he can get more ads in his video. Of course he does. Every video's got to be like 35 minutes, and most of it is him using big long words like a psychological and just trying to sound like a philosopher, you know. Does the dog formed conformity and pathological ignorance have you tearing your hair out, then join the Brotherhood? For less than a price of a cup of coffee. The oil drilling jokes kill me, yeah. How would Prime, Tank, and Shakur face up against Prime Pacquiao? Prime Pacquiao throws like a right hook, and it skims Tank and Shakur and puts them both in a coma. I'm kidding, you know, but somewhat along those lines. I don't know anything about either of those guys. Never watched a single one of them. Sorry. That shows you how out of touch I am with boxing these days, you know. Did you see the Mary Jane actor say she was underpaid for doing the same job as Toby? Well, it's interesting that she says the same job, because I'm pretty sure he was the main character I'm pretty sure Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man, and she was simply the side character. She was his love interest. So, duh, obviously he's gonna get paid more. Duh. I don't know. She's probably just grifting because she's old and ugly and post-war, and nobody wants her anymore. And she's not in any like big movies anymore. She's probably looking for some sort of sympathy and press coverage, you know. I sometimes go back to his old channel, Hatman TV, to listen to his old fake gangster accent, yeah, where he used to go like, "You get me, bruv? I'm from the streets, innit, blood?" Like, he used to talk like that in his old videos so that he could sound cool and hard, you know, because that was in the days of the internet when everybody wanted to be a gangster from the street, and everybody was an undefeated backyard pit fighter from the streets, you know, and they all wanted to sound like it. You know, he was from that era, you know. Make a video titled Tyson Fury calls AJ Adosa breaking news. Yeah, with the eyes in the thumbnail, like the emojis. That'd be quite funny, wouldn't it? I might actually do that, you know, just for an experiment, see if it gets me views. Adam Azim said he runs in the morning. Will not be surprised if he is another fake like Amir. Yeah, I've never watched him, so I've no idea. He's been saying recently that Fury is looking desperate and unsure of himself against Usyk. Well, I'll tell you what, right? After the fight, whatever happens, Hatman will say he predicted it. Whoever wins, whatever the result of the fight is, he will say, "You see, I told you that this would happen. Actually, I predicted this because I said that I wouldn't be surprised if this happens or that happens." And he would just take credit for everything. And all the normies in the comment section of his videos will say, "Wow, you called this. You're a genius. I'm going to subscribe to your Patreon." You know, that's the internet, isn't it, man? It's full of sycophants and weirdos, you know? Here's what it is. Haney's swollen face looked like a squirrel with nuts in his mouth after the beating. Yeah. Need someone to take one for the team and infiltrate the Hatman Discord. Oh man, it ain't gonna be me. It can be someone else. I tell you that. I'm not spending time there. You know, that the movie Roadhouse was based off of Hatman's career as a bouncer. Roadhouse. Like I saw a review for that movie today. There's a channel called Space Eyes, and he made a funny review for that movie. I've not seen it. I'm probably not gonna watch it, but like the movie, I mean. But I saw the review and it was quite funny. That movie looks terrible, you know. Paul Venice is Britain's hardest doorman. He has a wee belt and everything. Yeah, but is he as hard as Hatman though? Would he beat Hatman in like a bare knuckle on the streets? I'm not so sure about that. Shout out to your old dog, by the way. Good to see you here, brother. God bless you. Hatman versus Roy Shaw. Probably Hatman because Roy Shaw is only like 5'9". And he would just walk forward and slug and get caught. You know, because Hatman's the hardest bouncer in London, so probably. Why is Hatman trying to sound like Margarito, talking about, like Magneto, talking about the Brotherhood? That's funny, man. Is Hatman still racially biased? He's always been racially biased. Of course he is. So she played herself in the movie. Also, the movie wasn't called Mary Jane. Exactly. The movie's called Spider-Man, right? And she's the love interest, Mary Jane. Why would she get paid more or as much as the lead role? Doesn't make any sense, does it? Especially when he's several years older and was a much more established actor. Of course, he's going to get paid more, you know? Wilder versus Zhang and Dubois versus Hrgovic. If Wilder versus Zhang is real, Zhang knocks him out, probably, unless Wilder just runs all night and loses on points. Dubois versus Hrgovic, I'm going with Hrgovic by a late stoppage. Wouldn't surprise me if Dubois caught him early because, you know, he has a puncher's chance, but I think technically Hrgovic is better. I think he's got more stamina, and I think he'll probably break him down and either win on points or stop him late, so I'm going with Hrgovic. Everybody hyped up this Stellar Blade game just for it to be a basic mid-Souls game. Yeah, just like all the rest of them. Just like that Fallen Order game. It's just the same crap. you know. Never heard Hatman in the papers being the most scary bouncer. Imagine bragging about scaring people, yeah. Saying you like bit people's faces. I remember Hatman once said that he kicked a couple of white guys out of club for no reason. Like literally no reason. They didn't even do anything wrong. He said he kicked them out. He said he bit a guy in the face. You know, he said he threw these two little white guys or told them to leave a pub, kicked them out, and then two black guys walked up and stabbed one of them, and he just stood there watching and didn't tell the police or anything. Like he lied to the police and said nothing happened, or he didn't say anything. I remember he's saying this stuff, and I was thinking to myself, does he think that this makes him sound cool? Like, does he think this is good? Like, it makes him sound like a hard man and someone you don't mess with. I'm like, it makes him just sound like a creep or like some sort of sociopath. Like that's what I was thinking listening to that. I'm like, what a dickhead. Like, what a scumbag. Like, it is. You see these fake hard men. They always try to. They're such edgelords. These people. They're always like, "Oh, I saw this happen, and this guy got stabbed, and I did nothing about it because I don't feel the same way as other people." And it's just this act that they do where they try to act cool and edgy, and it just comes across as pretentious. You know. I doubt any of these fighters run in the morning. Yeah, probably not. Ryan Garcia did his fast hands thing in front of Trump, then dropped a diss track on Haney the next day. Imagine being an LDBC fan right now. An LDBC fan right now. You're just thinking about like jumping off a bridge or something, or just drinking yourself to death. Or in 78, in his instance, maybe just dying of diabetes or something, or heart failure, you know, heart disease. Probably one or the other, you know. Hatman, obesity related, of course. Hatman used to say, I didn't upload a prediction video, but I did think this would happen. Yeah, that was the thing he used to say. But what he does now is he just covers it, like he basically just like covers himself by saying, an upset wouldn't surprise me. So like he'll pick both guys to win, assume like the favorite narrative, and then he'll say, but an upset wouldn't surprise me. And then whatever happens, you'll see, I said this was going to happen. I know, exactly. Does Hatman know who you are? I assume he does. He knows of me, but he doesn't know me very well, put it that way. He doesn't know me very well. I don't particularly want anything to do with him, if truth be told. Hatman used to beat people up in the streets by sitting on them, yeah. Yeah, he's morbidly obese, by the way. I don't think he wants his subscribers to know that, but he is. I'm honest with my subscribers. You all know I'm a fat guy. You know I'm obese. But yeah, he doesn't want his subscribers to know it. It's a remake of the 1989 Roadhouse movie with Patrick Swayze. Yeah, I know it's a remake of that movie. I've never seen either. I haven't seen either one of them. Did Hatman say he only dates black women? Yeah, he does, and that's good. I don't particularly want him breeding with our race. Could you imagine him having a bunch of like mixed race kids? That he's like telling them stories about how he was the hardest bouncer in London and all that. Never thought I'd say Fury was underrated, but people are. He's underrated going into this fight against Usyk. Yeah, people are underrating him. They are. And that's because they're normies who are being brainwashed by the betting industry to bet on Usyk, you know. Boxing fan Hatman is still far more intelligent than 78. Yeah, but that's not saying much, is it? Like being more intelligent than 78, that's like saying you're thinner than Andy Ruiz, you know. It doesn't really mean much, does it? Hatman will get his justice eventually, like other racists. Yeah, of course he will. You know, he'll get his comeuppance eventually. They all do, like I was talking about earlier, you know. Hatman was probably lying about it, but it was probably something he wanted to do, but he didn't have the balls. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm assuming it's his own fantasy. Like it's the stuff he imagines doing in his head. You know, like how all these people imagine that they're like underground backyard pit fighters and all that, and they're all undefeated, like 100-0. You know, that's the early days of the internet. There was a lot of fantasists, even a lot more than there is now. You know, one of the main LDBC guys, BFTB, is a registered nonce. Yeah, he is. I know that. I know he is. That guy's an absolute degenerate. He is. His rant on Povetkin Klitschko was one of my boxing favorite videos ever on YouTube. Yeah, that video was hilarious. It was really funny. It was a literal mental breakdown, you know. The Hatman wants to meet you on the cobbles. He made a video discussing him having the mental edge. Well, I tell you one thing, I ain't messing with no hardest bouncer in London. You know, I'm not messing with a 6'5" like roadman from London. I'm not dealing with it. He's the hardest bouncer in London. So yeah, I'm too scared. I'm not gonna mess with him. Hatman should link up with Lady Chan. Yeah, they'd be made for each other, them two. Tyan Booth said he would never date a black woman. Yeah, he did, I think. It's up to him, I guess. Hatman having kids, especially mixed race ones, would be a disaster. Of course it would. Imagine that guy having kids, man. That'd be scary, actually. Hey, Nordic. So yeah, so shout out to Freezing. Good to see you here, man. I'm so happy Haney got exposed and Ryan didn't even take his training seriously. Yeah, because he's fighting a bum. He's fighting a feather-fisted, limp-wristed slapper from America who has a bunch of fixed fights, you know? That's what happens. Hatman probably fantasizes about street fighting chavs outside the club and knife fighting the Indian and West African roadman. Yeah, those are his fantasies. You know, he should write one of those fantasy books, you know, like people like Paddy Monaghan and Lenny McLean and all them guys. You know, they write their books about how they're undefeated bare knuckle boxing champions and they never lost a fight on the cobbles. And you know, they can make a lot of money doing that. He should do that. He should write one of those books and call it like The Bouncer or The Bouncer Chronicles book or something like that. Yeah, being compared to 78 is insulting, no doubt. I remember he picked Michael Hunter to win a massive upset against a top 3 heavyweight at some point. Well, when he said that, he was copying the rest of us because when Usyk and Hunter and that moved up to heavyweight, I said the same thing. I said these guys are going to be a big problem for the heavyweight division. You know, these cruiserweights, and you know, Dwyer was saying it as well. Dwyer said something similar, and I think Hatman was just copying other people, like other people in the YTBC, who were saying something similar to that. He was just copying them. Normies thought Ngannou would KO AJ because Ngannou was more muscular, and because AJ has no chin. Mate, I went to a boxing gym right days before that fight, not my usual boxing gym because my usual one was closed, right? So I went to another boxing gym and there was these 2 women boxers there. Right? I'm pretty sure one of them was a lesbian. Like I don't know, she just had that look, right? But there was this woman boxer. And she was talking to this other guy, and they were talking about that fight. They were amateur boxers, both of them, right? And she was like, AJ has got no chin, and Ngannou can knock him out if he hits him and all that. And I'm just like, these are actual amateur boxers, people who go to an established gym and who are in and around about like the actual boxing fraternity. And they're sitting there talking about Ngannou being able to knock out AJ, and I'm like, these normies, man. Like, I can't even with these people, you know. 68 is cringe. He acts like he's the black Al Capone or something, or 78 Al Capone or something, when he just mocks the leader of. He's just the leader of the most mocked boxing group on YouTube. Yeah, they're just a cult. They're literally a racist cult. That's all they are. You know, there's a lot of them in prisons, you know, and that's where they belong, prison. All the white boxing channels do the BLM knee in every video and blow people like Shakur and Crawford. Yeah, because if you don't blow Shakur and Crawford, they call you a casual and a racist. And if you point out the fact that Crawford is a cheater who uses loaded gloves, they don't like that. You know, they want you to say that he's the greatest ever and he's been oppressed by the system. And if you don't say that, you're a racist. If you don't basically get on your knees and simp for them, you know. Yeah, all the Ngannou fanboys have vanished off the face of the planet. Probably never see them again, you know. 78 and the mighty LDBC. Yeah, they're just a degenerate racist cult, the LDBC, you know. Who remembers how happy Hatman was when Fury beat Klitschko? You think he'd won the lottery. It was like the happiest day of his life, you know, it literally was. Hatman Prob said he only dates black women for racial reasons. Well, of course. Yeah, favourite boxing-related videos. You reckon Hatman dreams of Lady Chan? Well, that would be a nightmare. Wouldn't be just a dream, it'd be a nightmare. I don't know if Lady Chan's a racist. I don't really care. I just know she's an idiot. That's all I know. Yeah, how's it going, Iron Fist? God bless you, man. You know any people who kickbox? Would you recommend it? Yeah, one of my best friends is a kickboxer. He was the guy who actually got me into boxing. You know, he's a black belt kickboxer. And I would recommend getting into kickboxing. In fact, it might even be better for you than boxing. Because, I mean, hey, it's obvious, right? You learn to punch and you learn to kick. So, obviously, that's a good thing, you know. Great for self-defense, you know, is what it is. If Hatman had kids, he would run them through fight training camps to randomly fight non-blacks at school and cause ruckus. Yeah, he'd train them to have a chimp out and to act like BLM, wouldn't he? Michael Hunter has ruined his career. It went bad after he ducked the Hrgovic fight for the final eliminator. Yeah, he did, yeah. Oh, he seems to have gone into obscurity. Never go back to that boxing gym. I haven't been back since. I think I went there like 3 times when my gym was shut, but didn't really like it. The coaches were dickheads, if truth be told. They wouldn't let me spar. They wouldn't let me spar because I was a member of another gym, which I think is really petty and quite pathetic, if truth be told. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. Yeah, you told this story before about these female normies at the gym, dumb hoes. Is that what? Why are females even talking about boxing? Why would a woman even talk about sport? Women belong in the kitchen, right? They should be looking after the children, right? They should be keeping the toilet clean, right? Getting the dinner ready for their husband, right? Hoovering the carpets, doing the dishes. You know, these are things that women live for, and this is what they should be doing. You know. Not talking about sport. Women don't belong anywhere near sport, you know. Hatman kids would run Watford Street. They run Watford Street. Yeah, they're like mini AJs. He tries to like raise a family, like raise an army of little AJs. Could you imagine that? An army of mini AJs running about Watford? I don't know why I found that funny. I just do. Those lesbian boxing amateurs at that gym should be sent to spar at Tijuana just for that inaccurate prediction about Ngannou. Yeah, they should spar Artur Beterbiev like full force, full contact. Sorry. Poor Ngannou really thought he was a top heavyweight after the sparring session with a guy who didn't even train. Yeah, like a rigged sparring session. It's pathetic, man. Crawford's resume is unreal. Brain damage, Spence, washed Porter, paper champion Ricky Burns, and Postal, who he ran all night against. Exactly. It's great on paper, but it's not great when you actually examine the context of these victories, you know? Hatman versus Dillian White in a street fight. Well, they're both like hard men from, hard men from the mean streets of Brixton. So I don't know, man. It's 50-50. I'd maybe go with Dillian White, I'd say, because he's even harder. He's from Jamaica, where they're even harder, you know? What do you think of Dillian White as a person? It's funny, but I don't like him. I think he's a thug, but I think he was absolutely right in what he said about AJ. I think he was absolutely right about it. It's true Hunter will fight for the WBA regular eliminator. I don't know. I haven't heard about that. Maybe you will. Did you confront that normie lady at the gym, or do you not even bother? So, no, I didn't. I didn't even bother. I didn't say a word to them. I'm not even talking to these people. Not even interested. Do these women in the gym look in shape? Well, those ones were just. I'd say they looked semi-decent shape. I don't think they're anything special. They weren't like fat or anything like that, but they didn't look like particularly athletic to me. They just looked like regular gym goers, you know. I am MGTOW, black pill, celibate. Women are always demons. Yeah, most modern women are demons. Let's be honest. Most modern women. There's good ones out there. Don't get me wrong, but very rarely will you find them in this day and age. They're few and far between. You know, there's not many genuine trad wives about. I mean, I just got engaged recently, so obviously, I'm not going to say all women are bad, but very rare will you find good ones in this day and age. And I'll tell you one thing, I would hate to be in the dating scene nowadays. I would genuinely hate to be. I'd probably be single forever, and I'd be happy that way, you know. Yeah, a bunch of 10-year-old juiced up black kids in Watford. Yeah, could you imagine it? R.I.P. Willie Lemon, by the way. Enjoyed following his career. Yeah, it's a shame, man. Willie Lemon's funeral is on Monday, actually. Yeah, I can't remember where it's going to be. Scott told me he's going to it, though, because he knew Willie Lemon really well. They were good friends. They were brought up together boxing. They actually used to spar. And I think they actually had... Scott told me a while back that they had an exhibition when they were both kids. I think when he was like 17 or something, they had an exhibition. So yeah, the guys at my gym, they knew Willie Lemon really well. They're good friends with him, and it's a bloody shame, man. But yeah, God bless him. But yeah, his funeral's on Monday, I think. God bless him. Yeah, it came as a surprise that I really didn't expect it. I remember Derek Chisora claiming he has never lost a street fight, where he is on camera getting smashed up by David Haye. Yeah, well, he certainly lost that fight. If you consider it a street fight, he certainly lost that. He got embarrassed. I mean, he went over to David Haye, giving it the big one, after saying he was going to slap him, and David Haye just battered him and took on his coach too. You know, so yeah, he deserved that, and he brought it on himself. Do you believe Turki will follow through with his Canelo versus Crawford bout intention that he mentioned on planning? If so, it will probably be a catchweight or 168. Well, it would cost a lot of money to get that fight, I think. I think Turki would have to have very deep pockets. And I know he has very deep pockets, but they would have to be like extremely deep to get that fight made, I think. I think both Canelo and Crawford would demand a lot of money to put it on the line, you know, for a fight like that, you know. You make me laugh talking about Atman. Yeah. I got a few funny things to say about him, I guess. The guy is a clown. I got to be honest. Yeah, he probably thinks Lady Chan is waifu material. Congrats on getting engaged, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks, man. You make me laugh talking about. Oh yeah, it's already right. Good day, Nordic. Yeah, how's it going, bacon and eggs? God bless, man. Lemon beat Khan. Khan was down for at least 11 seconds. Yeah, he was. He went down, got back up, got back up, then went back down, didn't beat the count. So yeah, Khan should have lost that fight. That should have been Willie Lemon's career best victory. At least he went on to be British and Commonwealth champion, and he got that win over Curtis Woodhouse when he was a bit of a prospect. So that was quite a good one, I think. Yeah, he had a good career. A decent, like, domestic level fighter in career, I'd say. So yeah, he had a good career. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. God bless you. Hatman, the kind of guy to get beat up and come back later with 12 of his boys, yeah, with knives and all that, and fight you 10-on-1 or something, and then brag about how hard he is, you know. Lee, that is racist. Khan is brown, so he should be allowed a long count. Yeah, Khan was the A side, so he got the long count. No B side fighter would have gotten that count, you know. They wouldn't have been allowed to go down get back up and go back down and not be counted out, you know? While Hatman's kids juiced up a 10-year-old patrol while Hatman's kids juiced up 10-year-old patrol Watford, Hatman will drive behind them playing UK drill from loudspeakers, yeah. Just to assert his dominance over the community, you know. He was 30 pounds lighter. Yeah, he was a lot lighter than Chisora. And he beat him on the street and in the ring. Still knocked him out, you know. I have a lot of respect for couples in long-lasting relationships. Shame. Yeah, same. I agree. Couples that stick it out and actually grow stronger together. I like that. It's old-fashioned, you know, and it's what should happen, you know. I'm 19 and never been in a proper relationship before. That's normal, right? Yeah, 19 still young. You got plenty of time. You got plenty of time to find a relationship, you know. I watched the video of Mayweather and Bill Haney arguing, but couldn't even tell what that argument was about because about 50% of the words they said were the N-word. Do you know, I've not heard that, but I can just picture it in my mind. I can just imagine it. Do you think Khan got a bad decision against Lamont Peterson? No, I thought Peterson clearly won. Even without the point deductions, I still thought Peterson won that fight. Thought he won it clearly. I think I only gave Khan like 4 rounds. Like, I think I had it like 8-4 or something to Peterson and 2 point deductions. Although Peterson was down, I think, in the first round. But again, even with that, I still thought Peterson won. I'm tired of Americans lying about Christianity. Saw a girl on TikTok say she was Christian but doesn't believe in hell. Well, she's not a Christian then, is she? Clearly, she doesn't believe in the scriptures, and she's not born again. She needs to become born again. You know, you won't hear a real Christian say, "I'm a Christian," but like, yeah. Well, whenever you hear "but," that's when you know they're about to say some bullshit. I'm a Christian, but insert something that explains you're not really a Christian. Everybody ducking Devin Haney. Because he praised by the system. One of the first fights I ever watched was Morales versus Lemon. Yeah, that was a good fight. In Mexico as well. And Lemon was actually winning before the knockout. Like, he was actually schooling Morales, but then he got knocked out. But Morales was a great fighter, great power. And Lemon just didn't have the power to keep him off. So it was only a matter of time. Like, Morales would catch him and win. But, well, Lemon was winning before the knockout. Feels like even long-term ones, most of them don't last now. Yeah, it makes me sad when they don't last nowadays, you know. You're both 19, man. I wish I was 19 again, I'll tell you that. You reckon is the most toughest homosexual bouncer? I don't know. Most people who say Khan versus Peterson was a robbery probably haven't seen the full fight. Yeah, exactly. I've seen it several times. That fight wasn't a robbery. Peterson clearly won that fight. Clearly. I don't even think it was that close. These girls that say they are Christian later go twerking with Lady Chan. Like, I'll see, there's a channel that I watch sometimes. They used to be called Warriors for Christ. The channel got deleted. I think now they're official street preachers, right? And I've seen them preaching at events. Like, they'll go to the beach and there's women like dressed in bikinis and stuff and like acting like sluts, like running around showing their vaginas and showing their breasts and like sticking their tongues out and acting like whores. And they'll be preaching. And these women will go up to them and say, "I'm a Christian," or they'll say, "I'm a Catholic." And I'm just like, if you're a Catholic and you're a Christian, why are you on a beach twerking and showing your fanny and all that? Like, what are you doing? It doesn't make any sense. Like, I remember one time I was watching one of their live preaching, and this girl was in like a bikini, right, wearing barely anything, and she walked past them and she went, "I'll pray for you," to them, and then one of the preachers just said, "Put some clothes on first." And I just thought that was so funny. I was like, that's hilariously based. Like, I like it when you know, when like fake Christians, people who pretend to be Christians, but they don't actually uphold the scriptures. I like it when they get humbled or when they get presented with their own like lack of self-awareness. I find that funny. But I see what you're saying. There's a lot of women who claim to be Christians. They go to church and then they act like complete degenerates in like away from that environment, if you know what I mean. But they're always the first ones to tell you, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Christian. That they're always like they'll tell you it, but their actions say otherwise. Like you can tell by their fruits that what they're saying isn't true. You know, and I believe there's verses in the Bible about judging people not by their words, but by their fruits and by their actions. That's what we mean by their fruits. And you see these people and they completely contradict what they say with the things that they do, if that makes sense, you know? Anyway, I need a piss. I've been holding that in. Oh, 1 second. Don't worry, I won't turn the camera on, so you don't have to see me, but you can hear me. All right, about Christianity. Original Christians rejected Paul as a false apostle. Do you know, I've heard that theory many, many times. Heard it many, many times. And you'll hear terms such as Paulian Christian. But I'm yet to see any evidence of it in Scripture. I'm yet to see any evidence of it. I'm yet to see any evidence that that Paul's verses contradict the rest of Scripture. I'm yet to see it. You know, I'm yet to see it confirmed. Has Triple G retired? I don't think so. Not officially, but he hasn't fought since the Canelo third fight, so probably. But you never know. He might come back for another payday or two or more. Who knows? Morales versus Maidana was a good fight. Yeah, it was. That was a great fight. And I remember going into that fight very specifically. A lot of people were saying that Morales was too old and he didn't have it anymore and he would probably get knocked out early. But it ended up being one of Maidana's toughest fights. Like Morales actually stood toe-to-toe with him. Because remember, at that point in time, Maidana was known for his power. And he was considered a knockout artist. And Morales was kind of considered shot at that point. But that was one of them fights that I think surprised a lot of people. Because Morales actually, like, people were expecting him to move around and box and try and just old man his way through it. But he actually stood toe-to-toe with Maidana for 12 rounds. And at times slugged it out with him, and it was actually a great fight, that one. Really enjoyed what I saw of it. 1 second. Some women do flash their pants and try to convert you. It's plain wrong. Mate, look. When I watch these, the reason I watch these preaching videos and like these street preachers and whatnot is because, if truth be told, it keeps me on my toes. It keeps me on edge. I've seen videos where preachers will be out in the street preaching the gospel, right? Sorry, 1 second. Let me just reconnect this. 1 second. Sorry about that. But I've seen videos where, like, preachers will be out preaching the Bible verses and talking about the end times and stuff. And women will literally go right up to them and flash their vagina at them. And I'm like, whenever I see that, I'm thinking to myself, what point are you trying to make here? Like, what exactly is going up to a street preacher and flashing yourself at them? Like what goes through a woman's mind and possesses her to do something like that? And it's the same with like the LGBT. I've seen videos where like guys are preaching, like street preachers, and people will start like kissing and tonguing each other in front of them. And these are people that are not even homosexuals, like women that are at the beach will just start kissing each other and slapping each other's asses in front of the street preachers as if they're trying to make a point. And I think to myself, how can these street preachers stand there and continue to preach the word of God while stuff like that's going on? I don't know. It keeps me on my toes, and it just I don't know, man. Like it reminds me of what we're up against, if you know what I mean. And it reminds me that not everybody can be saved. They're all like reprobates in this world, and people that will literally do anything to shut down the gospel. And I do believe very, very strongly. I do believe in all right. Sorry about that. I'm just fixing my microphone. I've been having problems with it. It keeps disconnecting itself. But yeah, seems to be fixed now. But what was I saying? It keeps me on my toes because it lets me know what we're up against. It lets me know that there's people out there who will do literally anything to try and stop the gospel being preached and stop people from being saved. And I think it's to do with um, I think it's to do with demonic possession. I think when demons hear the gospel, like they'll literally do anything to try and shut it down and to try and drown it out, if you know what I mean. Like they'll play loud music and stuff like that, and they'll try and get the stream stopped and everything. And it's demonic. Like they'll even screech sometimes. Like just watch some of these street preaching videos, and you'll see what I mean. Like these people will literally screech, and you will hear literal demonic noises coming out of people's mouths when they try and shut when you hear the gospel being open air preached, and it's so disturbing, man. And it just confirms my beliefs, you know. So that's why I keep an eye on stuff like that. But yeah, put some clothes on. I just thought that was so funny. Like that response was amazing. Put some clothes on first. The LDBC will want the camera on. Yeah. Hi, oh yeah, how's it going, Rebel? God bless you, man. Will Tank Davis come out of the closet? Yeah, hope not. I hope not. Mike Tyson fans say Prime Tyson beats any heavyweight in history, even though he lost to Buster Douglas at 23 years old. I mean, that's the thing. When was Prime Tyson? What was he? What, 18 years old, something like that? I mean, who's past their prime at 23? And I don't think he was past his prime then. I think that was a Prime Tyson. You know, people say Khan was robbed when he was only deducted 2 points for repeatedly fouling like 20 times. Exactly. Khan was pushing constantly in that fight. Because Khan can't fight on the inside, he would just push Peterson away with both of his hands. And the referee told him numerous times to stop pushing. And he kept doing it. And he also hit on the break in round 12. So both of those point deductions were perfectly justified as far as I'm concerned. I haven't spoken to my auntie in forever because I called my cousin, who is her granddaughter, a sket for selling feet pictures. Yeah, that's disgusting, man. She is a sket. Let's be honest about it. And you're absolutely right. Well, Mike was out of shape anyway, and his fanboys are deluded. Yeah, his fanboys think he would have always beaten everybody, just not on that particular night. It's nonsense. Yeah, Morales was a true all-time great and an extremely tough man. Yeah, he was. My family think I shouldn't have said anything because it's none of my business, but she made it my business when she told me. Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. And hopefully she grows up soon and packs it in. Hopefully. Wow. Well, if she does have a man, he should be he should get her under control, because that's not dignified behavior for a lady. Are you familiar with Erik Morales Mayweather year 2000 Big Bear California sparring story, where Morales used combos and angles to defeat Mayweather Philly shell defense and left Floyd nose blooded? No, but I'm assuming that probably did happen, because again, Floyd had a few instances where he got beaten up in sparring and then refused to fight somebody. I mean, that's probably why the fight didn't happen. Look at the Paul Spadafora fight. You know, that's another situation. The fight didn't happen because Spadafora absolutely battered Floyd in sparring, so he knew he couldn't beat him. So the fight never happened, you know. With everything going on in the world today, do you think we are close to Jesus' return? Because we don't know the exact day or hour, but the Bible does say we can know the season of his return. Yeah. Well, it's quite clear that, you know, the end times will come when prophecies from the New Testament are fulfilled. And these prophecies are being fulfilled all the time. Every day they're being fulfilled pretty much. So, yeah, I think Jesus will return soon, and I'm going to be prepared for it. And I hope you will too. Yeah, that did happen in America. I did hear about that. Those people in street preaching videos are demonically possessed. When Jesus is brought up, there's an uproar. Don't any other false god or religion, they don't react. We'll put it this way. I remember Baz Rutten talking about this. Baz Rutten talked about how if you make a video saying you believe in Santa Claus, you're not going to get numerous people in the comment section calling you an idiot and getting angry and complaining about you and getting all in their feelings. That's not going to happen, no matter how many times you say you believe in Santa Claus. But if you say you believe in Jesus, you're going to get flooded with atheist copy pasta, like if you're a big channel, basically. And that's because the very mention of the name Jesus really triggers these demons. It triggers the demonically possessed. It's like in movies when they say the power of Christ compels you, and it banishes or reveals demons. That's what happens in real life, except in real life, it's like way more dramatic and way more disturbing. Like seriously, watch some of these videos and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Watch some of these pride parades and how these people behave when there's street preachers who preach the word of God. And when these people preach the gospel, just observe how they react to it. It's scary, actually. It really scares me that actually exists, if truth be told. It really does. I don't react well to it, which is why which, like I said, it's why I watch it, because it keeps me on edge, you know. I think Mike's prime was very early, but I think it was short due to multiple reasons. Yeah, his prime was short-lived. There's no doubt about that. But I think that people go overboard when they say that he would beat everybody and he only lost because he was past his prime. Like, I think that that's just a cope, if truth be told. I think they overlook Tyson's flaws due to how he was marketed as like the baddest man on the planet. What they didn't realize is he was human. You know, he was human. And that has to be taken into consideration. I'll be back in a minute. I'm just going to grab my charger. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. What's the biggest example of a talented boxer that could have been a big star for wasting his prime away in the past 10, 15 years. For me, Victor Ortiz is a big one. Yeah, Victor Ortiz was good, but I think his biggest problem was lack of heart. He just when it got tough for him in the ring, he checked out. He couldn't mentally handle it, if truth be told. And I mean, I would actually say I'd put Josh Taylor in that category because, again, look, Josh Taylor a few years ago I thought was the best prospect in boxing. You know, became undisputed, did all this stuff in boxing, but ended up just he went from world class to like journeyman level overnight because he achieved everything he wanted to achieve, and then had no motivation anymore. I kind of put him in that category, so I'd maybe say him. You know. Amir Khan had no strength on the inside, which was one of his main weaknesses. Yeah, he couldn't fight inside, and he couldn't like shorten his punches inside or anything. He needed like long range to win fights, and Peterson wouldn't give it to him. Like the way Peterson won that fight, because remember, Peterson tried to box Khan in the first round, and then he got dropped because from long range, Khan is very, very fast and explosive. But as soon as Peterson made one adjustment and stopped trying to box behind the jab on the outside and started walking forward and working the body and fighting as a pressure fighter, the fight was a mismatch. Khan had no idea what to do. He couldn't generate any power on the back foot, and he couldn't keep Peterson off him. Peterson was just walking him down and outworking him the whole fight. And I thought Peterson won the fight clearly. The Mike Tyson fanboys and kind of settled down, but like 5-10 years ago, they were psychotic. Yeah, they were a lot worse a few years back, definitely. Joe Stunner Boxing. I've watched a couple of his videos, I think. I've not watched many of them. I think I've watched a couple of them. Been a while, though. Will Jesus return in Israel, or biblical Israel no longer exists? I don't know where Jesus will return. I have no idea. I don't think it's even clear in scripture where he'll return, you know. When Jesus returns, all these sodomites who think they are virtuous and good will quickly find out how wrong they are. Well, when they face the consequences of their actions and are faced with the sins that they commit, they'll have a level of self-awareness that they've never had before. And I hope that before that happens, they repent and trust in Jesus, because that's all they have to do, right? And if they love God, they'll keep his commandments. You know, so if they're really virtuous, if they're really righteous people, they'll understand the sins that they've committed and they'll repent and trust in Jesus. Then they'll be saved. We have a free gift of everlasting life given to us by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who died for us on the cross. Recently fell in love for the first time in 13 years, ended in heartbreak, but not to the point. It kind of caused me to step out of the whole naturalist and red pill thing. Yeah. The red pill thing, there's a lot of truth in that movement, but there's also a lot of scams, I think. A lot of those people are just after your money. A lot of them are grifters, you know. Don't know why, but it just kind of caused me to stop caring about everything and focus on just concentrating, training, and focusing within. Well, that's probably a better mindset to have. Like, you know, work on yourself. Make your own situation better, and then you'll have more luck in that regard, you know. Yeah, Josh Taylor lost his motivation when he turned undisputed. I agree. The reason the LGBT lot get so triggered by religion is because they don't want to believe there is a higher power that will hold them accountable for their sickening behavior. Exactly, and it's not just them; it's everybody. It's thieves, it's blasphemers, it's adulterers, it's all these people. It's you know, people who just don't have any respect, who don't have any humility, people who are self-righteous. You know, it's all these people don't want to believe that there's a higher power that will hold them accountable. It's the same with all of them. Yeah, Josh Taylor was a good friend with the booze, certainly was. With all the women perversions disappear when. Yeah, the women perversions will disappear when Christ returns, no doubt. Yeah, Taylor versus Prograis was one of the best fights I've ever seen. Are Christians allowed to be intimate with women before marriage? No. you're supposed to be celibate before marriage. Obviously, most people don't practice that, but technically, you're supposed to be celibate before marriage. It's a shame that Regis sold out against Haney. He could have easily knocked Haney out. I agree. All he has to do is walk forward and let his hands go. Haney's got no power. When did you give your life to Jesus? I'd say in my early 20s, I became born again and gave my life to Jesus. What's the main reason Westerners hate religion? Well, it's already been explained, you know. Yeah, that's what you're saying. That's the main reason Westerners hate religion, because they don't want to be held accountable for their own actions. It's like an addict who falls in love with his addiction. Like if you're a heroin addict, you'll make whatever excuses you can to keep using heroin, even though you know it's destroying you, it's bad for you. You'll keep doing it because of how it makes you feel. It makes you feel good, makes you feel unstoppable for that one moment. It gives you that high. You know, if you're morbidly obese, like if you're 550 pounds and you consume 10,000 calories a day, you know that's bad for you. You know it's killing you slowly, but it makes you feel good. And it helps you deal with other issues in your life. So you're going to find an excuse. You're going to look for any excuse you can find to keep eating yourself to death. Essentially, it's the same with sin. Sin is addictive. It's addictive to allow sin to control your life and to allow it to, you know, alleviate you from responsibility. It's addictive to do that, but it takes a lot more strength to humble yourself and give yourself to Jesus and accept his true free gift of salvation and everlasting life. I think Josh Taylor at his absolute best versus Terence Crawford at his absolute best. I favour Taylor on points, but I don't think we'll ever see Josh Taylor at his absolute best. So if he fought Crawford now, he'd get knocked out. I think Crawford would knock him out early now, or Taylor would just take a dive. But prime for prime, I think Taylor would win, probably on points. Have you noticed a lot of atheists and Muslims turn to Christianity? Yeah, they do. Because, again, Christ will never be stopped. That's the spiritual power of the gospel. It will be heard all across the world and it will never be stopped. Doesn't matter how much propaganda, how much how much apologetics is done for other religions or for atheism or whatever. The power of the gospel will always reach certain people, because God gave us the ability to discern right from wrong. He gave us a conscience. I truly believe that. You know, God gave, he made us in his image, and he gave us the intelligence to decipher right from wrong, you know. Frank Bruno versus Herbie Hyde. Probably, I would give Herbie Hyde a puncher's chance because he was very aggressive and he was like a very, very dangerous two-handed puncher. But he also had a glass chin. So I would favour Frank Bruno by knockout, but I think it would be very dangerous early on because Herbie Hyde had a lot of power, you know. Do you think Jeffrey Dahmer was truly born again, or was it all? Do you know? I don't know. But it could have been real. It could have been genuine, because even someone as like sick in the head as Jeffrey Dahmer could be saved by the grace and glory of Christ. It's true, you know. Yeah, many Muslims turn to Christ, but they don't want to. They don't want to admit it openly because they can be persecuted and even killed for it. Like in Muslim countries, if you turn to Christ, you can literally be executed for it, because the penalty for apostasy is death. So many Muslims turn to Christ, and they have to find some sort of like underground Christian movement to be able to profess their beliefs freely, you know. Yeah, Taylor might have been compromised by the jibber jabber, and that could have had something to do with it. Christianity will always win. You see, when you see that cross, when you see the symbol of the cross, it reminds you that no matter how much degeneracy and how many demons you're confronted with, we've already won, because Jesus died on that cross for our sins, and there's nothing that this world can do that can change that, you know. Favorite movie based on real stories. Do you know, I really enjoyed the George Foreman movie. That really, really touched me in my heart. It really did. I really enjoyed Hacksaw Ridge, another one based on real stories. That was really, really good. Those are the two that come to mind. Ron Lyle versus Dillian White. That's a good fight, actually. That would probably be a fight where both guys would probably get dropped and hurt. And I say probably Dillian White based on size and strength. But Ron Lyle might have actually been the bigger puncher, and he might have been tougher. But I think Dillian White might have been stronger, and he might be able to just grind out a stoppage win based on his size and his strength, you know. So I'd probably go with Dillian White by late stoppage, probably. They've been trying to get rid of Christianity for years and still can't, which should tell you something. Exactly, the fact Christianity still exists, despite all the secret societies, the satanic elites, the propaganda in the media, the constant persecutions of Christians all over the world, the fact it still exists is testament to how powerful it is, you know. I don't blame the Muslims for being quiet. What a peaceful, respectful religion. Yeah. They have to be quiet, otherwise they get, with their apostasy, otherwise they get executed. Like I said, the Apostle Paul was a murderer. So if Dharma was genuine, he could have been saved as well. Exactly. Look, we're all sinners, and we all need the grace and mercy of Jesus Christ. Right? We all need God. We all need Jesus Christ. You see the American boxers and fans now saying that having a loss is not that bad. Yeah. All of a sudden, Ryan Garcia isn't Haney's daddy. Losing to someone doesn't make them your daddy now. All of a sudden, it doesn't define your entire career anymore. What about church? Certain Catholic churches demand you give constant money. That's not a real church. Listen, if a church doesn't read the Bible and doesn't preach the gospel, as far as I'm concerned, they're not a real church. And I want nothing to do with them. Yeah, Hacksaw Ridge is brilliant. I also recommend All Quiet on the Western Front. So World War I from the German perspective. I wouldn't mind seeing that. That would be interesting. My favourite atheist reasoning for God not existing is that they have never seen him, so there is no proof he exists. So they are basically saying that there's a being whose power they can't comprehend should show. Yeah. They think God should literally manifest himself in front of Richard Dawkins and say, "Hello, Richard Dawkins, I am God." Even though Richard Dawkins himself said if that happened, he would think he's gone mad and he's hallucinating. And that nothing, no matter what happened, nothing could ever convince him of the existence of God, even if he saw definitive proof of it. Now, if that's not madness, if that's not absolute delusional madness, then I don't know what is. Literally, that's Richard Dawkins admitting that he's an insane ideologue. Like Richard Dawkins will say in one interview, there is no God and you're an idiot if you believe in God. Then, in another interview, he'll say God is a maniac and a psychopath and a homophobe and I hate him and he's horrible and he's a murderer and this, like, he'll say these things with absolute viciousness, and you're like, so which is it? Does God not exist, or is he all the things you're saying he is, and do you hate him? Mate, I've ranted in the past about the hypocrisy and incoherence of atheists, and I'm sick and tired of even talking about them, if truth be told. I don't respect these people. I don't see them as equal to me. I really don't. I see them as I see atheists as subhuman. I honestly do, because they're that ignorant that they've given up their humanity, as far as I'm concerned. And it's dangerous to even entertain these people's worldviews, Islam, the so-called religion of peace, is the only one that beheads people or bombs the place for not believing in their faith. Yeah. It's a very, very peaceful religion. So peaceful that they'll kill you for not believing in it. For not believing what they believe, they'll execute you. Yeah. It's totally peaceful. I'm a little behind, but I've noticed the same thing with the demons revolting against God. I've seen it multiple times in real life, and it was scary. It's very scary. See, when you see it, I don't know how these street preachers, I don't know how they deal with it. I don't know how they don't choke up. Like, look, I'm not I'm the type of person, I can be confrontational, right? I can have a fight if need be, but I don't think I could ever do what these people do. I don't think I could ever go to a pride event and preach the gospel and have these people flashing their balls in front of me and trying to sexually assault me and just stand there stoically preaching the gospel. I don't think I could do that. So the kind of stoicism that these people show and the kind of strength, mental strength that they have with their faith, it's inspiring to me. It really is. And it's more confirmation. Look, Christianity is true. You wouldn't see people from other religions putting themselves in that situation. They would break in that situation. They genuinely would, you know. And it's inspiring to see. Or if you criticize their faith, they'll make insults to everyone else's. Yeah, of course they do. Because they're so peaceful, right? Chris Tucker said he went to Saudi Arabia and had to put his cross away because his friend told him the religious police were killing people. Yeah, and I don't know why a Christian would even go to Saudi Arabia, if truth be told. It's not a place I would want to visit, I'll tell you that. God's power literally can't be comprehended by us, but he should appear to you, random human who openly hates him. Atheists are the dumbest and most narcissistic people in existence. They are. They literally are. Like, do you know what's the annoying thing too? Is I hear people say, why would God allow suffering in the world? And then I'm like thinking to myself, so you, like you said, a random human being who doesn't really know your arse from your elbow, you're judging God, the creator of the universe, who you don't believe in, for allowing something to happen that you don't like. I mean, that is a delusion of grandeur on such a large scale. I don't even know how to articulate it. You're criticizing a God you don't believe in for allowing something to happen that you think is morally or ethically wrong, despite the fact that you don't even believe in morals and ethics because you don't believe in God. Therefore, you don't believe in spirituality. You don't believe in a higher power. You don't believe in the very concept of repentance, punishment, justice, law, order. You don't believe in these things because you're an atheist, but you're criticizing God for allowing, not even causing something to happen, for allowing something to happen. Do I need to put into words? Like, is it even possible for me to articulate and put into words how incoherent that is and what a delusion of grandeur that is, and how you would have to be the dumbest narcissist on the planet to even say something like that with a straight face, like to say it unironically. and then my favorite one is, do you know what's even better than that? You know when they say, but what about the Catholic pedophiles? That's another one. Like for the past 10 years, that's probably been the atheist's favorite argument, right? Is, but Catholic pedophiles. And then you ask them, you're like, what Catholic pedophiles? Who are you talking about? And they can't give you a single name because they don't know, because they haven't researched the situation. They know nothing about it. They've just heard other atheists say it on TV or on social media, and they just parrot it, right? What about the Catholic pedophiles? Or they say, what about the Catholic Church and the things that the Catholic Church have done that are bad? And I'm just like, well, what Catholic Church? What are you talking about? Which Catholic Church? Which Catholic priest? Cite me. What court case are you talking about? What examples do you have? And how exactly does this relate to whether or not you believe in God? Like, there's so many. Mate, atheists are just the dumbest people on the planet. They try to use, like saying, taking Catholic pedophiles, right, and trying to use that contingent of people, assuming they exist, and pretending that they relate to the very, very concept of Christianity and the existence of God. That's like taking a suicide bomber, you know, somebody who blows himself up in the name of Islam, and saying he represents the entirety of Islam and taking nothing else into context. That's what that's like. I don't even know how to articulate how incoherent that is and how it makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, oh man, like again, I don't. My mind can't even comprehend the retardation of atheism. Like atheism is that retarded that I'm losing brain cells thinking about it. Thinking about atheism literally causes me to lose brain cells, and it gives me a headache. It really does. Oh man, yeah. Tangent over. Tangent over. I knew a group of skater kids that didn't like me, and they were clearly demonically charged. They eventually began wearing clothes with occult symbolism, going to church to do drugs there. Let me guess, they wore dark clothes and they drank Monster Energy, right? Because they're so edgy and cool. Yeah, I know the type. Idiots, man. Idiot edgelords. I've never watched The Exorcist. No, never seen it. They were also involved in severe crimes, did weird sex magic stuff, regulars at a local crystal shop. Yeah, mate, these are the ultimate. I'd like to meet these guys. They're like the edgiest people ever. Like the ultimate edgelords, you know? Do you like the Silent Hill games? I like the first two. The first two were really, really interesting. I reviewed them both on my channel, my gaming channel. Yeah, I've witnessed some demonic shit with my own eyes too. You guys ain't alone there. Yeah, I think a lot of us have seen it. And even if we don't always understand it and we don't always know how to articulate it, we've all seen it and we've all experienced it. There's been multiple cases of demon possession and exorcisms taking place where the person possessed is speaking some language no one's ever heard of, but atheists will still try to disprove it. Yeah, what atheists do is they basically try to claim that the person is insane, or that like they studied Latin but they don't remember studying Latin and they just forgot about it, and something like they've always got some stupid contrived explanation, haven't they, for when that happens, you know? I saw a guy get delivered from a demon when I was around 15. It was terrifying. I ran away because I didn't want to get possessed. Yeah, it happens. There's plenty of exorcisms out there. They've been well documented, you know. Large-scale delusions from small-scale brains. Yeah, exactly. It's like the people who listen to Hatman and think he's intelligent. You know, they would be atheist types, you know. And then they post their here's another thing, right? Atheists will post copy pasta, right? You'll see them spamming these comments. They'll say, you know, I can tell what religion you are based on the country you live in. And I'm just like, wait, is that supposed to be an argument? And I think about the logic of that, and I'm like, well, I can tell what language you speak based on the country you live in. Does that mean that? Like, again, it's just the same dumb, like, low IQ garbage that they come up with. It's always dumb, ignorant, incoherent arguments from these people, man. And I'm sick of talking about them, if truth be told. If atheists say there isn't a God, then who's to say that those Catholic pedophiles are wrong, since morality is subjective without God? Exactly. Why is rape? Why is raping a kid bad if there's no God? Why is murder? Why is that bad if there's no God? Why would you have anything against Jeffrey Dahmer if there's no God? Doesn't make any sense. There's no such thing as morality without God. Shout out to Daz, man. Good to see you here, man. God bless you. Walked in at a good time. Yep, you certainly did. Although this won't be going much longer. What's the last game you played? The last game I played was Hitman Blood Money. I actually just recorded a full playthrough of it. There's no games released this year that I'm interested in. Not a single one, unfortunately. Yeah, Madrimov has a chance, but I think Crawford will have his steroids. Madrimov will probably have a dehydration clause. And, Crawford will probably have his loaded gloves that he normally has. So, yeah. Goths creep me out. I cross the street if I see any coming towards me. I don't want those demons anyway, mate. Those people are just, like I said, they're just edgelords. They're stupid edgelords. You know, they wear their dark clothes and they got their piercings and they drink Monster Energy and they vape and they think they look cool. And really, they just look like stupid teenagers that never grew up. That's what they look like. It's like, grow up and get a job and get a girlfriend and stop being an edgelord. Like, seriously, grow up. That's what I think of when I see those people. Like, I want to be like, yeah. You ever seen? Do you remember that scene in Deadpool where the Deadpool movie where he goes up to that lesbian kid, and he's like, "Oh, look at me! I'm a teenage girl. Like, I don't want to be here," and all that. Like, that's what I want to do when I see these goths. I want to go up to them and I'm like, "Oh, look at me! I'm so edgy because I wear dark clothes and I have piercings, and no one understands me." Like, I literally want to go up to these people and bitch slap them and say that. "Ooh, I'm so edgy because I have a tattoo and I dye my hair." Just clowns, man. Seriously, they really are. It's funny. I was on the train the other day, and there was one of them walked on. It was like this stupid edgelord goth, and like his face was all covered in piercings, and he was like vaping on the train. And I asked him, I was like, "Hey mate, could you not do that on the train, please?" And he didn't look at me, but like he moved away and like sat in the corner in the train and like put his vape away and stopped doing it. And I'm just, but he wouldn't look me in the eye. And he was like, he had like a hunchback, you know, because like these goths always do that, you know, because they've always got like their headphones and they're slumped forward and they drink like cans of energy and they always vape. And I don't know, they just look like monsters to me. That's what they look like to me. They're like monsters, these people. It's creepy. The thing that about atheists that always makes me laugh is that they don't realize that atheism is a leap of faith in and of itself. People like Dawkins turned it into a religion, didn't they? Yeah. Well, it's always been a religion. It's essentially just like another version of paganism, right? Because they basically just they find their own gods to worship, whether it be celebrities or the government or their own materialism, their own sin. You know, it's just everyone needs God. Everyone does. I hate young pastors and their stupid, oversized church monitors. Yeah, I know what you mean there, especially if they don't preach the gospel. Yeah, people often forget entire languages that they know fluently. Atheist stupidity at its finest. Yeah, I mean they'll come up with anything to justify their stupid beliefs. You know, I went out to buy a cross on a chain one Saturday years ago. Got directed to this weird shop with voodoo crap, smoke, skulls, and the like. Man, I'd have stayed well out of there. I'll tell you that. I'd have stayed well out of that one. Yeah, most people's morals are based upon God, like do not steal, do not kill. It's all in the 10 Commandments. This literally comes from our scripture. Evolution is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. If anyone takes 5 minutes to actually think about it, it makes zero sense. It's like that scene in South Park where it's like, and that one became a monkey fish frog, and it you're the retarded offspring of 5 monkeys having butt sex with a squirrel. Congratulations. That was hilarious, that scene. Because that's literally, like, I know it's supposed to be a joke, but that's literally what atheists believe. They believe a fish just for no reason crawled out of the water, grew legs, became a reptile, and then became a mammal and climbed trees. And then for no reason whatsoever, its fur dropped off and it became a human over the course of several millions of years because reasons. And we don't need any fossils or scientific evidence to back this up. Just believe it because we say so, because reasons. Batman versus Captain America. Captain America, because he has super strength and a shield that defies the laws of physics. And he's also quite a good strategist, so I would favour Captain America. Batman would put up a fight, but I think Captain America would win. I went to Santa Cruz, California once, and the streets were lined with transsexuals and demons with piercings. There were plenty of occult shops there. Well, that's on my list of places to avoid. I'll tell you that. It's ironic that they drink Monster and look like monsters themselves. Yeah, the monster turns them into monsters. That's what it seems like to me. Nothing wrong with a tasteful earring or whatever, but these piercing freaks are weird. Some men can pull off an earring, but beyond that, nah. Yeah, when you got people that wear like nose rings, you just want to you just want to pull it off, don't you? Just grab it and just pull it off and be like, that's what happens. Stop attention seeking in future, you know? There are ties to the occult that I can't remember, but just look at the people with lots of visible piercings. They're all demonic. Exactly. They're all weirdos. They're never normal people, are they? They're like the type of people that work in CEX. They're always weirdos, aren't they? I think to get a job there, you have to be a weirdo. They don't hire normal people. What superheroes would favor Spider-Man over in a fight? Probably most of them, because Spider-Man's like got superpowers, but he's also a genius, so he would probably figure out how to beat most of them, you know? People don't seem to understand that all of the fossils in museums are fake. There aren't any real dinosaur fossils because they don't exist. Exactly. Because again, they say dinosaurs died millions of years ago. Well, bones don't last millions of years. They disintegrate, right? We know that, don't we? And the dinosaur designs we have aren't from intact skeletons or anything like that. They're literally from fossil fragments. So I'm talking about a stone with a marking that looks like a toe or looks like a foot or something like that that we then make up off the top of our head what it would have looked like essentially, and then we come up with a triceratops or a T-Rex. Like that's dinosaur science. It's literally junk science. There's no such thing as a triceratops. There's no such thing as a T-Rex. These are all literally make-believe. I'm not even joking. They're make-believe. That's what they are. Justice League would beat the Avengers, I believe. Yeah, because they have Superman. Without Superman, they would lose, but with Superman, they would win. Nose rings are demon badges. Every girl with one is loose and morals. Oh, yeah. Don't ever date a girl with a nose ring because she's probably a slag. Probably. If bones had been in the ground for that length of time, there would literally be nothing left. Exactly. And they say that, because when you go to natural history museums, right, they'll have dinosaur statues, right? And they're made of like plasticast or whatever it is they use to make them, right? And they tell you that the real bones are locked away in a vault somewhere, and nobody's allowed to examine them except the very, very few chosen individuals. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, first of all, why would people just believe this without any proof or any evidence? And secondly, that contradicts the idea that they're millions of years old. Because like you said, if there were bones in the ground for millions of years, there'd be nothing left, right? And if they were there for that long, they would have been discovered over thousands and thousands of years from prior cultures to the past 100 years. Like dinosaurs have only been known about in the past 100 years, when all of a sudden they started, they started being discovered. Why were they never discovered by Native Americans? Why were they never discovered by the Romans or whatever? Like this is all junk science. Like I said, they literally find a rock with a little bit of a marking that looks like it might be a toe, and they come up with a whole concept of a dinosaur off the back of it. But normies don't know that. Normies think that they literally find full T-Rex skeletons and put them in museums. That normies will go to a museum and they actually think that the statue of a dinosaur they see is a real bone dinosaur, and that's how it was found. They literally believe this. That's how ignorant these people are. I'm not even kidding. And it does my head in, man. It really does. Yep, that is a flawed argument. The bones would have been gone long ago. Of course they would have. Oh, yeah, Punisher's superior to Batman. See, Punisher's based. Batman is a self-righteous dickhead, whereas Punisher is a guy who's willing to do what needs to be done to clean up the streets, He takes out the trash. That's what he does. Or is it a really big girl with a nose ring and it makes them look like Bebop or Rocksteady? Bebop or Rocksteady, that's brilliant, man. Yeah, shout out to Ninja Turtles, man. But yeah, shout out to Fight Scout. God bless you, bro. But yeah, that is what they look like. Bebop or Rocksteady. Yeah. That's a good one, man. You don't date any girl with a piercing. Would suggest I would never date a girl with a piercing ever. I don't think I ever have dated a girl with a piercing, actually, ever. I love Red Dead Redemption 2, but they made sure to sneak a bunch of woke in, including dinosaur fossils. Yeah, there was a side mission where you find dinosaur fossils. I never did it. I ignored the side missions in that piece of crap game. I didn't bother with it. They are pushing the alien thing a lot recently too. I think the fake invasion could be coming soon. Yeah, I agree. I think they'll use Project Bluebeam or something along those lines to push a fake alien invasion. I could totally see that. And you know the normies will believe it. You know they'll believe it. And it could be like it could be demons that are basically coming to portray themselves as aliens, you know, kind of like in the movie Signs. It could be like that, you know. Leonardo TMNT versus Batman. It would be a good fight. I would favor Batman though. You know, Leonardo would have a chance because he's an expert martial artist and an expert swordsman. But I think Batman would have enough gadgets and enough technical know-how to figure him out and defeat him. So yeah. Spider-Man versus Chris Rock. Well, Chris Rock's got the best chin. So Spider-Man wouldn't be able to knock him out. He'd have to like tie him up and incapacitate him or something like that. I remember you did a video that I think was Red Dead Redemption 2 where you fed a suffragette to a crocodile. Yeah, I think that's still on my channel, isn't it? Like I found the suffragette woman and my immediate thoughts were I'm gonna feed her to a crocodile. Because what else do you do with a suffragette? I mean, what else do they deserve, I guess? Inspector Gadget versus Batman. Inspector Gadget, because he would just say, like, go, Gadget, flamethrower, and he would just blast his face off or something. Unless Batman could, like, get some device to, like, make him glitch out and shut him down or something. Do earrings count as piercings? Well, I don't mind earrings. I don't mind them because they're not as, like, showy, are they? So I don't really mind them, but I wouldn't get one personally. Personally, I wouldn't get an earring, you know. But when I say piercings, I'm talking about like nose rings, lip rings, and stupid crap like that, you know. What is it with all these young women with cow nose rings? It's hideous, yeah. Like I don't know. Do they actually think that looks good? I always think that with women. Like women do a lot of stupid shit that they seem to think looks good, but it just looks horrible. And I'm like, you would look so much better without that. It's like you know when women wear fake tan, and I'm just like, you get some women some like really beautiful woman who looks great, right? Some pale white skinned woman, right? And then she'll be like orange, and she thinks she looks good. I'm like, what? Why would you want to be orange? What's wrong with just being your natural skin color? What's wrong with that? I think that's cultural Marxism. Like, I honestly think women have been taught in society that the way that they look naturally isn't good enough. So you have to cover yourself up with like fake tan and makeup and piercings and like certain clothes. Like you have to wear like, I don't know what the fuck is it they wear. I don't even know. Like they've got to wear contacts and all that. They've got to look different. They can't just look real, if you know what I mean. They can't look like real human beings. And when I see them looking like that, I just think they might be a tranny or something. I'm like, what are you trying to hide? Like that's what I literally think when I see a woman that's like just covered up like that. I think, what are you trying to hide? You know? Which TMNT TV series is your favorite? 87, 2003, 2012. 2003 by far. I think the 2003 Ninja Turtles movie is the Ninja Turtles TV show from 2003 is badass. That is one of the most badass cartoons. It's so underrated. One of the most underrated cartoons ever. And most of that's because of the theme song. I can remember the theme song. It was like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Do 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 do. Turtles coming on. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turtles mutant chain reaction. Turtles living underground. Turtles ninjutsu action. Turtles, it's a shell of a town. Live by the code of the martial arts. Never fight unless someone else starts. Always stick together no matter what. Throw up our shells and it's time to kick butt. I love being a turtle. Man, that show, I'm going to need to watch that again. I've not watched it in years, but that show was amazing. I need to watch it again. That's what Triple B thinks, that their supposed aliens will be demons. I'm not sure if it will be, or the whole thing will just be some fake CGI stuff. Yeah, that's the thing. It could be either. We'll never know unless we're like in the know, unless we're involved in it somehow, you know. Yeah, how's it going, man? God bless you. There was a comic where Batman and Captain America fought, and it was close fight, but Batman ended up winning in the comic. Yeah, I suppose it's one of them fights where it would be like, if they fought 10 times, they would both win a certain amount of times, I think. No, reversely, I think Inoue knocks out Neri. So yeah, to answer your question, yeah, belly button piercing. Well, you know when women have belly button piercings, and then they wear like clothes that reveal their belly just so they can show you the belly piercing, and I'm like, you might as well just wear a sign around your neck that says "I'm a slag, I'm a degenerate." Like, you might as well just do that. It would have the exact same effect on me, if truth be told. The suffragettes actually did women's rights more harm than good, committed several acts of terrorism. Feminists like Millicent Fawcett commended them out of hand. Yeah, condemned them out of hand. Yeah, the suffragettes were idiots. They were just government plants pushing an agenda. That's all they were. Let's be honest. Banana Man. I remember Banana Man. I used to have Banana Man comics. I liked Banana Man. That was cool. I enjoyed it. I remember that. Online girls say manifest or manifesting, which is just prayer without the God. Yeah, it's their version of prayer, because everybody needs prayer. Everybody needs God, you know. I remember when I was at school, loads of the girls would put so much makeup on that they would look like Jake from the Tweenies, yeah, or they look like Oompa Loompas or something like that. And you're just like, what are you doing? Seriously. The suffragettes tried to burn down David Lloyd George's house, bunch of terrorist lunatics. Yeah, they were, in my opinion, they were government agents. They were cultural Marxists, you know. When I was at college, some of the girls went through a fake tan phase. It looked awfully like Chicken Bisto. Yeah, disgusting, man. It's just horrible, that stuff. It really is. And again, I think that's cultural Marxism. I think they just don't want to be white, personally. They've been taught that being white is bad, you know. You know, a girl will be white and people say, oh, you're pale. You look like a vampire. You're pale. What's wrong with being pale? It's good to be pale. I just watch old retro cartoons stuff. Yeah, same. I like watching retro cartoons. Turtles Underground. Yeah. Oh man, that show. I need to watch that show again. I've not seen it in years. It's awesome. You're into this Turtles thing. Might make a donation. Hey, listen, if you make me a donation, I'll sing you more cartoon songs. I'll sing you the Powerpuff Girls if you want. TMNT is better than Power Rangers. Yes, absolutely. Don't get me wrong, I like Power Rangers, but Ninja Turtles all day. Watch out for Shredder. Yeah, remember that? Watch out for Shredder. Like, it randomly says that in the song. Why are men more red-pilled than women? Well, because men are smarter. Men are more intelligent. Power Rangers was okay until they made it all gay and woke. I think I stopped watching Power Rangers after Lightspeed Rescue. I think that was the last series I was into. I also had the video game of it. That was awesome. I've still got it on PS1. I might review that. I remember the song to that. It was like, Power Rangers, Lightspeed Rescue. The system is calling. The power is... No, something like that. It's like the power is calling. The danger will test you. Better make it a Lightspeed Rescue. Go on, Mask and Spider-Man, please. Oh, man. Spider-Man one, the 90s one. It goes down, 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 Spider-Man, Spider-Man, radioactive Spider-Man, down, 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 Spider-Man, Spider-Man, radioactive Spider-Man, 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 radioactive Spider-Man, 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 doo doo. Yeah, that was the old 90s Spider-Man tune. I don't know the Mask one though. Oh man, I'm trying to think of that one. Have I ever heard it? Chances are I've probably heard it and forgot. Yeah, 90s Spider-Man was peak Spider-Man. Yeah, I liked Lightspeed Rescue. Ben 10, that's another one. I loved Ben 10. That was awesome. That was the original Ben 10. I've got the box set. I've got the entire original box set of that on DVD. The song to that, it was like, he'll turn into, I don't know all the words. It's like, he'll turn into an alien before your very eyes. He's funny, freaky, fast and strong. He's every shape and size. He's Ben 10. that show was good. I don't know all the words to that one though. But yeah, that one. Yeah, best £2 I ever spent. Great value. Yeah. Super chats will get you a cartoon theme song on this channel, if it's one I know anyway. Spider blood, radioactive spider blood, radioactive. Yeah, that's it. I tried to watch Invincible because I heard it was good. Couldn't finish the first episode because his best friend was a Batman and his love interest was a black feminist. Oh, that's disgusting, man. Well, I will never ever be watching that version ever. Never. Being white is the best. That's a bit of a random comment, but yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Any girl with a tattoo down her spine is used goods. Any girl with a tattoo anywhere is probably used goods. Men are also less emotional and more logical than women, so we can think more clearly about things. Yeah, that's true. It's been scientifically proved. Dragon Ball Z for the win. See, I never watched Dragon Ball Z that much. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but it's one of those things that I never had much of a chance to watch it. If you know what I mean. It wasn't like really on a convenient time for me, so I never saw it much. Joshua loves to say he manifests. He grew out of his victimhood at Islamic stage and went fully girly new age. The bro needs Christ. Oh yeah, he needs Jesus. He needs Jesus. But yeah, thanks to Daz for the contribution, man. God bless you. I appreciate it, man. And yeah, you got a nice little song out of it, so that's good. We are far more unique than blacks. They always have brown eyes and hair, black hair. We have many different combinations, yeah, which is interesting because, black people used to get called colored folk, right? Which doesn't make a lot of sense because white people tend to have, like you say, a lot more variation in their overall skin tones and hair tones and eye colors and all that. And then just the colors of their like hands and stuff like that. They're always, whites all look different, if you know what I mean. And I guess blacks all look different too, don't get me wrong, but whites look different in terms of shading and color. So I think it makes more sense to call white people colored, if you know what I mean. That just makes more logistical sense. I don't mean that to be rude. I just mean it makes more sense, My favorites are Ben 10 and the original and Ultimate Alien. I didn't watch much of Ultimate Alien. I think that kind of came a little bit after my era, but the original Ben 10, I loved it. I loved the original Ben 10. I grew up with that one. It was awesome. I met a Christian guy last week who was doing the street thing, and I'm ready to embrace the faith. Been getting a lot of encouragement in that respect from Christian friends. Well, that's good, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for letting us know, and hopefully you become truly born again and repentant and trust in Jesus. Because he died on the cross for you, he died on the cross for me, he died on the cross for us all. Because we're all sinners, and without his mercy, we're all damned. With his mercy, we're all saved. We have the free gift of everlasting life. Oh, mate, it's amazing. Every child should be forced to watch it. The importance of race, the idea of never growing up, always taking on the challenge and overcoming overwhelming odds. Yep, exactly. Exactly. It's old cartoons were like that. They all had what do you call it? They all had good life lessons in them. loads of people like Doctor Who, and I remember watching the Sarah Jane Adventures when I was a kid. But looking back, those shows are extremely anti-God. Yeah, I was never into Doctor Who personally. Have you seen the extremely woke Last of Us show? No, never seen it. Never watched it. Had no interest in it personally. Never played any of the games either. Old cartoons had based opinions in them. Yeah, they did. Like a lot of old cartoons and even a lot of old comics were written by conservatives and patriotic conservatives. You know, people like Steve Ditko, for example, came up with a lot of really, really based characters, but unfortunately, you know, they became corrupted over the years. But yeah, on that note, I'm getting quite tired now, and I want to maybe watch something before I go to bed. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this one up now, guys. We've been going for over 3 hours. Thanks for stopping by. It's been interesting, and yeah, thanks for stopping by. Stay tuned for more videos. I'll hopefully have like a video for the channel, maybe a couple of videos next week if I can find the time. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. God bless each and every one of you, and yeah, stay vigilant, man. Peace. God bless.